The system is the same, but the host is not. Chapter 1: The Fiancé of the Wealthy Family. Ding! Congratulations, you have been reborn. From now on, please keep away from the male and female leads, avoid reckless actions, and just try to live well. Shinshi opened her eyes, finding herself in a familiar yet strange environment. After a moment, a hint of confusion flickered in her gaze. This was the guest room at the infamily estate. Why was she here? Could it be that she had been reborn? Just as she was wondering, a mechanical voice sounded in her mind. Hello, host. I am your rebirth system, Feng Hui. Your mission is to stay away from the male and female leads. Cherish your life. Male and female leads. Who? And Mo and Xuan. Yes. After receiving confirmation from Feng Hui, the girl muttered under her breath, damn. In her previous life, she had been in Mo's fiancé, yet he never liked her and instead fell for a girl who didn't even come close to her Xuan. She couldn't understand how someone like Xuan could have caught his eye. So, she constantly went after Xuan, setting traps and plotting against her. However, each attempt was thwarted by Xuan, and Mo, and Xuan's childhood friend, leading to her own tragic end. She had felt like she wandered aimlessly for a long time, until that mechanical voice broke through. Shinshi rubbed her temples, exasperated. So, they were destined to be together, and she ended up ruining herself in her attempts to break them apart. Losing her family and dying in misery? But it was still early in this timeline. Things hadn't yet reached a point of no return, and her parents were still around. Thinking of her parents, her eyes reddened. They had done nothing wrong, yet they had to suffer the pain of their company going bankrupt, being isolated with no help, and even being forced to their deaths in the end. Her eyes turned increasingly red with hatred as these memories flooded her mind. Warning! Warning! The hostess' emotions are fluctuating too strongly and showing signs of a dark turn. Hearing Feng Hui's anxious tone, Shinshi chuckled coldly, what's wrong? Is the little system afraid I'll go dark? Friendly reminder, the male and female leads possess a destiny far beyond yours. You only have one chance to be reborn. If you die, there will be no coming back. Oh. Shinshi responded indifferently. If this was her only chance, she might as well get out of this mess first. Shinshi left the infamily without anyone noticing. When Enmo arrived to kick her out, he found the room empty. At that moment, the butler happened to walk by and, seeing Enmo at the guest room door, asked, Young master, were you looking for Miss Shinshi? Before he could say more, Enmo asked, where did Shinshi go? Did she somehow know he was coming to drive her away and decided to hide? The butler glanced at the room in surprise. Miss Shinshi isn't in her room. Enmo frowned, wondering what Shinshi was up to this time. Seeing Enmo's silence, the butler assumed he was angry and quickly said, I'll have someone find her right away. Before he could move, Enmo's voice rang out again, what for? It's better if she left on her own. He turned and walked away without a second thought. Shinshi arrived at her family's doorstep, composed herself, and stepped inside. Seeing her daughter's red-rimmed eyes, her parents were shocked. They hurried over to her, asking, Sweetheart, what happened? Tell mommy what's wrong. Gru hugged Shinshi tightly, comforting her as tears streamed down her face. Sweetheart, tell daddy, did you suffer at the infamily's hands? If they dared to mistreat you, just tell me, and I'll go settle the score with them. Seeing his daughter in this state, Shinji Yuan's heart ached as well, and he felt an urge to storm over to the infamily. Shinshi had only intended to put on a pitiful act, but her emotions overflowed at the sight of Gru and Shinji Yuan. Chapter 2: The Fiancé of the Wealthy Family. It took Shinshi a while before she finally came out of Gru's embrace. Gru gently wiped away the tears from her daughter's eyes and asked, 1111, can you tell us what happened now? Shinshi pressed her lips together, her gaze lowering. Mom, Dad, I want to break off my engagement with Enmo. Her words left her parents stunned. After all, they knew very well how much Shinshi adored Enmo. But before they could even process this, Shinshi dropped another bombshell. Actually, Enmo has already been seeing another girl. When she showed them the photos of Enmo intimately close with another girl, Shinji Yuan and Gru felt a mix of anger and heartbreak. Break the engagement. This engagement has to end. It was the first time that Shinji Yuan, usually so refined and composed, showed such anger. He had believed that, as longtime family friends, the infamily was trustworthy. He hadn't expected Mo to see another woman despite having a fiancée. If he could do this now, who knew what he might do after marriage? But on the infamily's side, she hesitated, looking unsure of what to say. Don't worry, sweetheart. Leave this to me. We have evidence, and they have no right to deny it. 1111, your dad is right. No daughter of the Shin family will be treated like this. Mom, Dad, I'm so grateful to have you both. Shin-shi stretched out her arms and hugged them tightly. After Shin-shi went to her room, Shin Ji-yoon thought for a moment and immediately sent the photos he had gotten from her to An Yiping. As expected, his phone rang shortly afterward. Letting it ring a few times, Shin Ji-yoon finally answered at a leisurely pace. Brother Shin, what's the meaning of the photos you just sent? Hearing An Yiping feign ignorance, Shin Ji-yoon's tone grew icy. An Yiping, don't pretend you don't understand. The photos clearly show An Mo with another girl. Where exactly does he think he is putting my beloved daughter with this kind of behavior? It's a misunderstanding. I'm sure it's all just a misunderstanding. An Yiping insisted, scrambling to explain. Brother Shin, the boy is young and foolish. He has just been led astray by some woman. I'll go and set him straight right away. And please, 1111 is already our chosen daughter-in-law. Rest assured, we won't let just anyone into the infamily. Shin Ji-yoon didn't listen to a single word, cutting him off. An Yiping, no amount of explanations will help now. Instead of wasting time explaining, you should focus on properly disciplining your son. I'm just informing you that our family has decided to end the engagement. With that, he hung up. HMPH. What nerve! If my darling daughter hadn't cared for him, who does he think he is? At the infamily residence. After being hung up on by Shin Ji-yoon, fury boiled up in An Yiping, and he shouted, An Mo! Get out here! He had just seen the photos and immediately called Shin Ji-yoon before having a chance to question An Mo. What's got you so angry, Dad? An Mo asked casually as he strolled over. Without warning, An Yiping hurled his phone at him. Look! Look at what you've done. Now the Shin family is adamant about breaking the engagement. Are you happy? An Mo caught the phone and glanced at the screen, where a photo of him kissing Shuan was plainly visible. Seeing the familiar image, his gaze darkened, gripping the phone tightly. He looked up and asked An Yiping, Dad, was this photo sent to you by Shin-shi? An Yiping was livid. He was still worried about where the photo came from. And Mo, aren't you going to explain to me what's going on in the photo? Who is that woman? Chapter 3, the fiancé of the wealthy family. And Mo turned off his phone and said, word by word, An is the one I truly love, and I will never marry Shin-shi. Say that again. It doesn't matter how many times I say it, it's the same. I'm ordering you to apologize to Shin-shi immediately and break up with that woman at once. That is impossible, and don't even think about going after An. If anything happens to her, I'll do whatever it takes. And Mo placed his phone on the table and, ignoring An Yiping's fury, returned to his room. This is outrageous. Back in his room, he dialed Shin-shi's number. Seeing his name on the caller ID, Shin-shi had a pretty good idea of what was coming. As soon as she answered, a voice filled with anger came through. Shin-shi, what is your problem? You used that photo to force me to let you stay at the infamily's house, and I agreed. But you still want to give it a rest. Do you really despise An so much that you have to ruin her? He intended to break off his engagement with Shin-shi, but not like this. He didn't want his An to suffer any grievances. Shin-shi held the phone away from her ear while he vented. When he finally finished, she brought it back to her ear and replied with a light laugh, the evidence is in my hands, so I'll do whatever I please. What's wrong? Are you scared to be found out for what you've done? Besides, I'm doing this to make things easier for you both. Now you won't have to sneak around on secret dates. I think you should thank me. Shin-shi. Hearing him gritting her name through his teeth only delighted her further. Oh, so young master and does know he has been out of line, huh? Shin-shi, if you have a problem, take it out on me. An is innocent. The way An Mo defended Shuan made Shin-shi's eyes darken, filling with coldness. Innocent, was she? Was Shuan really oblivious? Was she really the most innocent? And what about her, Shin-shi? She was innocent too, wasn't she? Yet she was humiliated by her fiancé's infidelity. Did he expect her to congratulate them with a smile, wish them a long life and happiness? Only then would he be satisfied. After a moment, she smirked, her tone ambiguous. Is that so? Well, I don't see it that way. Whatever she has to endure, let us hope she can handle it. With that, Shinshi decisively hung up the phone. She narrowed her dry eyes, her lips curving into a mocking smile. This was the man she had once sacrificed everything for. Because of him, she lost it all. Looking back now, it wasn't worth it. Not one bit. 3 days later, a call came through on Shinshi's phone. She glanced down at the caller ID. Lu Jia. This was her best friend, the one who had died saving her in her past life. Shinshi hesitated before answering, Jujia. But before she could say anything more, an excited voice came through. Wow 1111. Congratulations on finally coming to your senses and ditching that jerk. In Lu Jia's eyes, Mo was the worst. She despised him more than anyone. He dared do all that only because he'd been indulged without consequence. Listening to her, Shinshi smiled. You heard about it. Of course. Uncle Shin announced it himself at a press conference today. He made it clear that you, Shinshi, are the one choosing to break off the engagement with Mo. Now it's not just me, the whole world knows. Oh my gosh, you don't know how thrilled I was when I saw it. Shinshi's spirits lifted, infected by her friend's excitement. I haven't even watched it yet. Was my dad cool? He was amazing. He was so cool that I wanted to marry him. Her friend practically jumped with joy, her voice brimming with excitement. To celebrate you getting rid of that jerk and being single again, we're going to buy whatever we want, eat whatever we want, and party all out today. Chapter 4, The Fiancé of the Wealthy Family. Had her sister gotten a bit too excited? Shinshi wasn't going to spoil her fun. With a teasing tone, she said, let me tell you, I want to be polite today. You're going to spend a fortune. Bring it on. I'm ready. Don't hold back. Within 10 minutes, Lu Jia arrived at Shinshi's place. She looked her up and down, nodding in satisfaction as she stroked her chin. Not bad, not bad. My sister is naturally stunning, she is so beautiful it's suffocating. She playfully poked Shinshi's chin and said with a mischievous grin, don't let those nasty men take advantage of you. Leave the advantages to me, your sister. The girl wore a striking red knee-length dress, stunning without being vulgar. The bright red color made her skin appear even whiter and more delicate, while her exposed legs were slender and fair. Even Shinshi, a girl herself, couldn't help but feel envious, wishing she could turn into a man just to admire her. Shinshi looked at the girl in front of her, a mix of bitterness and amusement in her eyes. Since she had been reborn, she would never allow the events of her past life to repeat. She reached out and linked arms with Lu Jia, giving her a playful wink. Taking care of me isn't cheap, Tilder. Lu Jia was instantly electrified, her hand waving grandly like an emperor. It's just money. I've got plenty, spend it however you want. Oh? You're really saying that? Shinshi squinted, her smile sly like a little fox. Soon, the Century Mall was overtaken by two stunning beauties with fair skin, long legs, and impeccable style. The joy of shopping as a woman: when you see it, you buy it. After several hours, the two had accumulated a mountain of bags. During a break, Lu Jia suddenly had an idea and pulled Shinshi's hand, pointing in a direction. 1111. I think that black little dress would look perfect on you. And in half a month, it's old Master Pei's birthday. Your uncle and aunt will definitely take you, so it's the perfect occasion to wear it. When Lu Jia mentioned old Master Pei's birthday, Shinshi immediately recalled the embarrassment she had suffered at the banquet. As an Mo's fiancé, even if they didn't show up together, he shouldn't have brought Xuan, right? At that time, Mo not only brought Xuan but also publicly declared her importance in front of everyone. Shinshi had taken out her frustration on Xuan, but in the end, it was Shinshi who got slapped in the face. Xuan had gained a lot of admiration, while she, the legitimate fiancé, became the laughingstock overnight. Thinking about it, Mo would probably bring Xuan to this event as well. 1111. 1111. What's wrong? Hearing Lu Jia's voice, Shinshi snapped out of her thoughts. Noticing the worried look in Lu Jia's eyes, she shook her head. It's nothing, let us go take a look. Once inside the store, Lu Jia had a sales assistant bring the dress for Shinshi to try on while she browsed the store herself. She was sure she'd also attend old Master Pei's birthday, so she might as well pick something for herself too. Before long, Shinshi came out of the fitting room. The simple strapless black dress revealed her delicate and seductive collarbones, as well as her long, fair, swan-like neck. The waist-cinching design accentuated her slender waist, which was so tiny it could be held in one hand. The delicate embroidery added a touch of luxury and elegance. Not only was Lu Jia stunned, but even the sales assistant was in awe. "Oh my god, 1111. This dress is just perfect for you. You must wear this to the event. I guarantee you'll steal the show." Lu Jia didn't hold back on her praise. Chapter 5, The Fiancé of the Wealthy Family. At the same time. "That's Miss Shen, right? She looks really good in that dress," a girl said, her voice full of envy. Initially, she had been upset with Mo and even quarreled with him over Shenxi's breaking off the engagement, but after buying a few clothes and accessories, any remaining pride or guilt had already disappeared. However, as she now looked at the dazzling girl, she felt both envious and uncomfortable. And Mo heard Xuan's words and followed her gaze to see this stunning girl. He admitted that Shenxi was very beautiful. But no matter how beautiful she was, every time Mo saw her, he felt disgusted. He gazed at Xuan tenderly, his voice soft and affectionate. "That dress would look 100 times better on you, Anen." Xuan's face turned slightly red as she blushed, her eyes sparkling as she looked at Mo, innocently asking, "Really?" "Of course. You're the most beautiful in my eyes, no one compares." Saying this, he took Xuan's hand and quickly walked toward the store. "Waiter, pack up that dress the lady is wearing." "I'll take it." As soon as he spoke, all eyes turned to him. Shenxi's expression turned cold, inch by inch. After realizing what was happening, Lu Jia quickly stepped in front of Shenxi to protect her, glaring at the door. "And Mo, are you crazy? We picked out this dress first. It's not for you, so take your woman and leave." What a scumbag, really thinks he is some domineering CEO. And Mo ignored Lu Jia entirely, his gaze fixed on Shenxi, his tone arrogant. "Shenxi, Anan has taken a liking to this dress. Tell me, how much do you want for it?" If he didn't know that each piece in this store was one of a kind, and Mo wouldn't have bothered talking to Shenxi. But now that Xuan wanted it, he had to get it for her. Feeling the weight of everyone's attention, Xuan tugged at Mo's sleeve, her voice filled with unease. "And Mo, let us go look at something else, don't make Miss Shen uncomfortable." Sensing Xuan's discomfort, and Mo reached out and gently patted her head. He then turned his eyes back to Shenxi, his voice cold and firm, "It's just a dress. Since Anan likes it, you'll give it to her. Go pick something else, I'll cover the cost. Is that good enough now?" Finally, he asked impatiently. Shenxi's gaze met his, and just as Mo thought she would compromise, the girl suddenly let out a cold laugh. She looked at him with scorn, and then retorted, "Do you really think I need your money?" And Mo was taken aback by her unexpected response, thinking she was trying to haggle. Gritting his teeth, he asked, "Then what do you want?" "Nothing," the girl said with a playful smile, her lips curving. "This dress? I never intended to give it away. If she wants it, sorry, but if I want something, it's mine. As for what gets snatched away, well, that's just stuff I don't want, trash." She shot Mo a glance, the meaning clear in her eyes. She was calling him the trash. Shenxi then took out a card from her bag and handed it to the salesperson. "Just swipe it, no password." Seeing Shenxi's action, Lu Jia gave her a thumbs up. "Sister, you did great." Shenxi raised an eyebrow at her. As the salesperson took Shenxi's card to swipe, and Mo realized it was too late to stop her. The Century Mall was not a place he could bully people around. Otherwise, he wouldn't have tried to negotiate with Shenxi in such a calm manner. "Shenxi, fine. Very well." He glared at her angrily, suppressing the fire rising in his chest, and hurried to comfort Xuan. "And then, the other clothes here are really good too. Pick whatever you like, I'll buy it for you, okay?" Chapter 6, Rich Fiancé. Xuan didn't want any other clothes, she just liked the one Shenxi was wearing. But now she could only give up and smiled, "Yeah." The next moment, as if she had thought of something, she hugged Mo's arm, her tone somewhat coquettish and intimate. "Then Mo, can you help me choose?" "Okay, let me take a look." And Mo responded gently and patiently helped his girl choose a suitable dress. Hold. Seeing the two of them being so intimate in front of Shenxi, Lu Jia cursed and wanted to pounce on them and slap them. Fortunately, her sisters came to their senses, otherwise, this would be too shameful. Shenxi, however, acted as if she hadn't seen anything. She looked at Lu Jia calmly. Jia, I'll go change my clothes first, and then I'll help you pick out a suitable one. Yeah. Lu Jia nodded quickly. She had already made up her mind that when she came out, she would take her away. This would prevent some unclean things from polluting her sister's eyes. When Shinshi went to the fitting room to change clothes, and Mo had already chosen for Xuan. "Anan, what do you think of this white dress? It's pure and elegant, and it suits your temperament very well. It will definitely look better on you than on Shinshi." They were not far from Lu Jia. When she heard in Mo's words, she sneered and rolled her eyes. Without saying a word, she stepped forward and snatched the clothes from Xuan's hand, pretending to be exaggerated. "Oh. This dress is really beautiful. I like it. I wonder if Miss Yu can bear to part with it. No matter how much it costs, it doesn't matter." Having his things taken away so violently, Xuan trembled in fear, and then his eyes turned red. And Mo reacted and shouted angrily, "Lu Jia." Lu Jia rolled her eyes and retorted fearlessly, "Why are you shouting so loudly, Masterin? I didn't ask you. Besides, there are so many dresses here, why not give me one? At worst, I'll pay for your dresses. You're looking for death." After being challenged again and again, and Mo finally got angry, raised his hand, and brought down his palm fiercely. However, before it landed on Lu Jia's face, it was grabbed fiercely by a hand. He looked up and met Shinshi's dark eyes. She just sneered coldly, "Why, Masterin is unhappy now? Do you want to hit someone? This is just a way of giving someone a taste of their own medicine. You can't do it while others can't. Let go." And Mo's wrist was pinched by Shinshi and it hurt, but he couldn't get rid of it no matter what. Shinshi shook his hand away, and the place where she had pinched her had turned red. "And Mo!" Xuan exclaimed, and hurried over to grab his hand to check, "Does it hurt?" "It's all my fault." "It's okay, I don't feel any pain, and then, don't cry." And Mo raised his other hand and rubbed Xuan's head to comfort her. Shinshi didn't even look at them, but just called Lu Jia, "Jia, let's go." "R." After Lu Jia reacted, she threw the clothes in her hand to Xuan and chased after Shinshi without looking back. "What dress? Do you really think she cares about it? She just took the opportunity to annoy the pretty girl and the scumbag. He dared to hit her." Fortunately, Xiaoxi appeared in time and saved the beauty. Otherwise she might really get slapped. The two of them had been shopping for several hours and were already hungry, so they arrived at Yuxian Pavilion before it was time for dinner. Chapter 7, Rich Fiancé. After requesting a quiet private room, Lu Jia propped up her chin and looked at Shinshi with a smile. "Xiao 1111, thanks to you for saving me back then, order whatever you want to eat, I guarantee you'll have enough." Shinshi didn't bother to be polite with her and ordered several dishes. While ordering food, he talked to Lu Jia, "Be more careful next time. I would be sad if you really got beaten." "I know. Who told them to bully you like that? Do you really think my sister and I are helpless? Just because Mo can bully others, can't we bully them back?" Shinshi agreed, "Of course you have to give it back. You can't let anyone down, but you can let yourself down." "Mum?" Lu Jia nodded wildly, then bit her finger and looked at her. "Xiaoxi, I think you have changed a lot." "Really?" Shinshi raised his eyes. Yeah. But I think this change is good. There are plenty of good men in the world. It doesn't matter who you choose. We can't just hang ourselves on one tree." Shinshi smiled, "I think so too." After dinner, the two went to a cafe to sit for a while, then went to watch a few movies, and then went to the bar. After the two of them arrived, Lu Jia's other friends had already arrived and were already having a blast. Lu Jia took Shinshi's hand and took her to join the disco. Under the gorgeous neon lights, in the blasting music, amidst the frenzy of dancing, the most dazzling thing is the girl in red. She is charming and alluring, and her glowing white skin is even more eye-catching under the swaying lights. "Master Xiao, don't you never come to places like this? Where do you get the interest today? I even set foot here." The handsome and romantic young man looked at the man next to him who was dressed in a suit and looked noble and obstinate with a look of surprise. Hearing Pei Fan's voice, the man finally turned his gaze away from the eye-catching girl. As soon as he raised his eyes, he heard Pei Fan muttering to himself, "I really don't know what you thought before. Was it that dancing was not fun or the beauties were not pretty? Or was it that the wine was not good? This is a paradise on earth." Before she could finish her words, she met the man's cold eyes and swallowed them immediately. She gritted her teeth and put her arm on the man's shoulders, raised her lips and smiled. Master Xiao, now that we are here, why don't you go down and play? I thought the man would refuse, but I didn't expect him to agree. Let's go. Hearing the man's two light words, Pei Fan was so shocked that he didn't react. When he came to his senses, he looked at the man's back as he walked down the stairs, whistled in a vulgar manner, and chased after him. Master Xiao, did you really take the right medicine today? When he got downstairs, Pei Fan still couldn't believe that Li Xiao was going to go clubbing. The man glanced at him coldly and said coldly, "Get lost." Okay. Get out of here now. Pei Fan was not angry and ran into the dance floor quickly. Only the abstinent man was left standing there. Li Xiao's gaze remained on Shenxi from beginning to end. She was so eye-catching that many eyes were fixed on her since she came in. The man looked a little annoyed. He raised his hand to loosen his tie a little, then took off his suit jacket, leaving only the pure white shirt underneath. His eyes were fixed on his prey, and he walked straight towards the girl with his long legs. As she walked, she unbuttoned a few buttons on her shirt, revealing her fair, delicate and attractive collarbone. Chapter 8, Rich Fiancé. He thought he was really crazy. He just heard that she was coming here in the cafe, but he came here early to wait for her. And seeing her so dazzling in the crowd, with so many malicious eyes falling on her, he wanted to kill those people. A cool and refreshing fragrance came from beside him. Shenxi raised his eyes inadvertently, and what caught his eye was the dazzlingly white skin and the pure and lusty collarbone. Then she just stared at the sexy and seductive beauty and swallowed. From the man's perspective, he could clearly see that she was attracted to him, and the corners of her lips curled up slightly. It seems that the beauty trap does work. Shenxi, wake up. It's just that the clavicle is a little prettier, yours isn't bad either. Hold on. Don't do it, or you'll be considered a hooligan. Shenxi kept reciting the heart purification mantra in his mind, turning his eyes away and no longer looking at the source of the evil. But in the face of the man's subtle seduction, that cold fragrance always lingered around her body. When she closed her eyes, she could only see that white skin. Bear. I can't stand it anymore. Shenxi opened his eyes suddenly, grabbed the man's tie and pulled him closer to him. She raised her eyes charmingly, and said in a hoarse voice, "Seduce me." Huh. Her eyelashes were raised, and the man's infuriating face came into her eyes. There was a flash of surprise in Shenxi's eyes. This one is too tempting to commit a crime. The hazy lights around him cast a shadow on his body, adding a sense of mystery to the man. But why does it look familiar? Have you seen her somewhere? What the hell? What's going on? Not far away, Pei Fan, who had been watching Li Xiao, was so shocked by this scene that his eyes almost popped out. He admitted that the beauty was very attractive and he wanted to flirt with her, but what was the situation now? His master Xiao was teased. In vain, the distance between him and the girl shortened. Li Xiao could even see the fine hairs on her skin when he lowered his eyes. Hearing the girl's voice, his lips slightly raised, his body lowered, close to the girl's ear, his voice even deeper, "Then may I ask if I have hooked you?" The deep and sexy voice made Shenxi feel numb all over. He narrowed his eyes dangerously for a moment, exerted force with his hands, and the distance between them was very close. The girl's red lips moved slightly, her breath was seductive. "Men, if you seduce, you have to take responsibility." Just as their lips were about to touch, Pei Fan jumped over with a shout. "Damn it! Shut up, woman! Let go of my master Xiao." How could the innocence of his master Xiao be tarnished by a woman he didn't even know who she was? Pei Fan's appearance immediately interrupted the ambiguous atmosphere between the two. Shenxi was so shocked that her grip on the man's tie loosened a little. The man noticed it and glanced at Pei Fan with cold eyes. Pei Fan felt cold all over. What's going on? Why is Mr. Xiao looking at him with such murderous eyes? Did he think he came too late? Shenxi's eyes widened as she looked at the man who was still so close to her with surprise and disbelief. Lord Xiao. Lord Xiao. Is it the Mr. Xiao she was thinking of? Li Xiao? But how did he come here? And still being teased and provoked by myself. The girl swallowed her saliva in fear, and her smile was uglier than crying. He, Master Xiao, I said I didn't mean it, do you believe me? Is it too late to escape now? You are still holding on to my Master Xiao's tie and you still say you didn't mean it. Chapter 9, Rich Fiancé. His eyes fell on his hand that was holding the man's tie. Shinshi shivered as if he was burned and loosened his grip. This is just an accident. The girl lacks confidence. The man straightened up and adjusted his tie that had been pulled askew by the girl, his movements graceful and dignified. Then he looked at Shinshi and said jokingly, "Well, after all, I was the one who seduced you first." It was obviously he who seduced Shinshi first, but the words sounded somewhat innocent. Shinshi was frightened when he heard this. How could she explain it so that he would believe it? Say she drank too much. Yes. When you come to a bar, you dance and drink. It's not too much for her to flirt with a beautiful woman when she's drunk. As if he saw what she was thinking, the man sneered, "No need to explain, I understand." Shinshi's eyes widened. You understand? What do you understand? You don't understand at all. I have something else to do, so I'll leave first. Someday, I will come to apologize someday. Unable to explain clearly, Shinshi left immediately without caring whether the man agreed or not. Hey! You woman, you want to run away without explaining yourself clearly. Pei Fan wanted to stop Shinshi, but he wilted after being glanced at by the man. No way, Master Xiao, are you really going to let that woman go? She flirted with you. Didn't his master never get close to women? How come this woman escaped alive? If you don't speak, no one will think you are dumb. Li Xiao really wanted to sew his mouth shut. Pei Fan opened his eyes innocently. What happened to me? I saved you and preserved your innocence. If he hadn't been there, he might have been killed by that woman. Pei Fan suddenly reacted halfway through his thought and looked at Li Xiao in disbelief. Are you attracted to that woman? Otherwise, with his fighting ability, how could he be teased by a woman? The moment she touched him, the woman should have been a corpse. Pei Fan felt that he had discovered some shocking secret. Li Xiao did not deny it, but just said 2 words, "I'm gone." He left Pei Fan alone in confusion and walked away from this bustling place with his long legs. Shinshi ran all the way out of the bar, and only realized after getting in the car that she had left Lu Jiao inside. But asking her to go in and look for her now, she doesn't have the courage. Li Xiao, the legendary living devil who never gets interested in women. There was once a rumor that a certain woman had the courage to flirt with him, but in the end, that woman never showed up again. So, she just sent Lu Jiao a message saying that she would go back first, and then quickly asked the driver to drive away. God bless him, I hope he didn't recognize who she was in that situation. As for what she said about coming to apologize some other day? Sorry, no other time. She will never appear in front of him again. When Shinshi got home, Lu Jiao called. As soon as the call was connected, Lu Jiao's voice came from the other end. Xiaoxi, what's wrong with you? Why did you go home so early? You haven't even had a drink with me yet. She was having so much fun with her friends that she didn't notice Shinshi at all. When she went to look for her again, she couldn't find her. Just as she was about to call her, she saw the message. Shinshi thought about what happened and laughed dryly. Well, I have something to do. Next time I will definitely drink with you. Okay, since you are so sincere, I will forgive you. By the way, what happened to you? Do you need my help? Chapter 10, Rich Fiancé. When he heard that she was coming over, Shinshi quickly said, No, it's not a big deal. I can handle it myself. Just have fun with them. That's fine. Half a month had passed, and Shinshi had long forgotten what happened in the bar. During this short period of time, she and Lu Jiao had a lot of fun outside. Until the day of Mr. Pei's birthday party, she didn't even think about the fact that given Li Xiao's relationship with Pei Fan, he would be there no matter what. Little creek, here. After arriving with her parents, Shinshi immediately saw Lu Jiao waving at her. Mom and Dad, I'm going to Jiao's place first. She said something to Shin Jiyuan and Gru, and went to find Lu Jiao. There are few people around Lu Jiao who are pretty good friends in their circle. Xiaoxi, long time no see. The clear and sunny boy greeted her, and her was all in his eyes. Seeing him, Shinshi's eyes flashed with pain. She tried to smile and said, Long time no see. Lin Chaishan, he was the one who could truly live for her and die for her. She still remembered the young man who died because of her in her previous life. I still remember his last words, he said. Xiaoxi, live well. Shinshi looked at Lin Chaishan, hesitant to speak. Before he could open his mouth, he was gently pushed. Shinshi, are you really going to give young Master Mo to that bitch Xuan so easily? You don't know, but I heard that Mr. Mo will bring that bitch with him today. It's such an important occasion, and that bitch dared to come even though she knew you were there. It's obvious that she doesn't take you seriously. The girl next to him was Jiang Liyuan, who was also impressed by Mo's charm. Therefore, she hated Xuan very much and bullied her a lot. Just because she was close to Shinshi, everyone thought that she bullied Xuan at Shinshi's instruction. In the past, Mo at least had a fiancé like Shinshi, so he didn't dare to show his affection with Xuan. But now Shinshi has withdrawn. She has seen Xuan and Mo going out together and kissing each other many times. How can she be willing to accept this? Upon hearing her sarcastic instigation, Lu Jia immediately put her hands on her hips and looked stern. However, before she opened her mouth, she saw Shinshi casually picked up a glass of red wine, gently shook the liquid inside a few times, and then slowly took a sip. Then, he glanced at Jiang Liyuan calmly, and said in a uniquely arrogant tone, "Who said I gave it to her? It was clearly something I didn't want. Absolutely. In one word, kill it instantly." After Lu Jia came to her senses, she immediately gave Shinshi a thumbs up. Jiang Liyuan looked incredulous. "Shinshi, you?" She really couldn't believe it. Shinshi obviously liked Mo so much, how could he be so indifferent? It was at this time that there was a commotion coming from the direction of the entrance. The handsome man and beautiful woman who came hand in hand immediately attracted countless eyes. The man was wearing a high-end suit, looking very dignified, while the girl was wearing a noble and elegant white dress, looking pure and charming. They were a perfect match walking together. Oh my god! Mr. Mo really brought that bitch here. Jiang Liyuan looked jealous. Lu Jia and Lin Chixin's attention was on Shinshi, fearing that she would be upset when seeing this scene. However, Shinshi only glanced over there and then looked away, his eyes falling on the red wine glass beside him, and he smiled nonchalantly and mockingly. On the second floor, the noble man's eyes fell on the girl. She was wearing a black dress, which made her skin look very fair and delicate. Her long, slightly curly hair was lazily draped behind her head. She held the wine glass between two fingers and shook it gently. This action looked both sexy and charming when she did it. Chapter 11, Rich Fiancé. She is also very beautiful today. Unlike the demon in the red dress, today she looks like a noble and beautiful black swan. Li Xiao's gaze was still on the girl. Pei Fan, who suddenly appeared, clicked his tongue and stretched his head to look in the direction of his gaze. "No way, Master Xiao, what's wrong with you lately? Are you feeling amorous? But didn't you fall in love with that woman in the bar? Why are you peeking at Shinshi now?" Pei Fan had been observing secretly for a long time, and now he was sure that Li Xiao was watching Shinshi from beginning to end. But why did he feel that Shinshi looked a bit like? If you don't think about it, you won't know. If you think about it, you will be shocked. Pei Fan was immediately shocked by his own thoughts and jumped up. "Fuck. Don't tell me Shinshi is the woman who flirted with you in the bar and almost ruined your innocence." Shinshi. It was Shinshi. How could it be Shinshi? Seeing that Li Xiao didn't say anything, Pei Fan knew that he agreed. He had a look of pity on his face. "Master Xiao, you really fell in love with Shinshi? When did this happen? Let me see if there is any possibility of redeeming it." Li Xiao raised his eyes and looked at him. "What do you want to say?" Pei Fan was wilted by his look and said weakly, "Nothing, I think with Mr. Xiao's charm, he can definitely kill any man in seconds." "What and Mo, get out of here." Soon, his eyes rolled and he thought of something. "Master Xiao, if I remember correctly, the little guy who followed you around when you were little was Shinshi, right?" Thinking of the past, Pei Fan stroked his chin thoughtfully. "Back then, the little one followed you around, calling you brother, 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 brother. Could it be that you were interested in her at that time? I don't know why, but when Shinshi grew up a little bit, he fell in love with Mo, and he never saw her around Li Xiao again." Hearing Pei Fan talking about his childhood, the man pursed his lips and said nothing, his eyes gradually turning darker. Xuan held Mo's arm with an elegant smile on his face. As soon as they came in, everyone's eyes fell on her and Shinshi. Everything they said was about how the young master of the Yin family would rather give up the daughter of the Shen family and be with her, his true love. Many people envied her and used this as an opportunity to belittle and ridicule Shinshi, which made Xuan feel strangely comfortable. She raised her chin slightly to show her pride. At this moment, he wanted to bring Mo to Shinshi to show off. So, she moved closer to Mo and whispered, and Mo, Miss Shen is here too, let's go over and say hello to her. And Mo casually glanced in the direction of Shinshi, not caring. Why greet her? Is she worthy of it? He hasn't settled the score with her for the last incident yet. And Mo's attitude made Xuan feel relieved and satisfied. She deliberately acted coquettishly and said, go ahead, go ahead. I don't know anyone here. I'm only familiar with Miss Shen and the others. Later you will go with your uncle and aunt to meet Mr. Pei. With my current status, I am not qualified to go with you. I won't be embarrassed to be here alone then. At the end, there was some disappointment in her tone. Although the An couple no longer objected to her relationship with An Mo, they still did not approve of her. She was able to come to this kind of occasion because An Mo insisted on bringing her here. Listening to Xuan's words, An Mo felt that what she said made some sense. Okay, for An's sake, I'll go over and say a few words to her. These words put him in a high position. Seeing An Mo bringing Xuan over here, Lu Jia's expression changed slightly. What does An Mo want to do now? Shinshi looked at the two of them thoughtfully. Chapter 12, Rich Fiancé. She remembered that it was the same in her previous life. The reason Xuan came to apologize to her was just to show off in front of her. And Mo would rather bring her here at all costs than appear with her as his fiancé. What about this time? Soon, and Mo brought Xuan over. When he saw the girl up close, even he was stunned for a moment. The black little dress makes her temperament more noble and elegant, and her perfect figure is displayed to the fullest. When I saw her, Xuan, who was wearing high-end foreign clothes, seemed to pale in comparison. Noticing An Mo's distraction, Xuan bit his lip, pinched An Mo deliberately, pretended to know nothing, and gave Shinshi a kind smile. Sure enough, this dress looks better on Miss Shen. If An Mo had really bought it for me, I might not have been able to wear it as stunningly as Miss Shen. It seemed like she was praising Shinshi, but in fact she was telling others that Shinshi was competing with her for the dress. Lu Jia was so angry when she heard this. Just as he was about to open his mouth to retort, he heard Shinshi chuckle and imitate Xuan's tea talking. Of course, if Miss Xu wore this foreign high-end dress, I wouldn't be able to look as pure stupid and moving as Miss Xu. Immediately, Lu Jia couldn't help but burst out laughing. Xuan's face suddenly turned red. He was annoyed. The bitch Shinshi actually openly and secretly said that she had a bad figure? She gritted her teeth secretly, wanting to laugh but unable to. Miss Shen, you are joking. How dare I compete with you? I just came here to express my apology. At that time, I didn't expect that An Mo would insist on buying that dress for me just because of my words. When she said this, all the wealthy ladies around her were envious to death. Xuan seemed to have regained his previous composure. At this time, the An family couple called An Mo. An Mo looked at Shinshi and said in an imperative tone, Shinshi, I'm going to see Mr. Pei. Please take care of An and don't let her get bullied. After saying this, he walked away without waiting for Shinshi's agreement, as if Shinshi would definitely listen to him. Lu Jia finally couldn't help it and said in a low voice, fuck, An Mo is sick. Who does he think he is to you? He actually asked you to take care of Xuan in such an imperative tone. I've seen scumbags, but I've never seen someone so scumbag and shameless. Xuan opened his eyes innocently, as if he didn't understand. He picked up the glass of wine beside him and clinked it with the glass in Shinshi's hand. Miss Shen, I am sorry to bother you. And Mo is worried about me, so he asked you to take care of me. I offer you this glass of wine as a thank you. After saying that, he raised his head and drank it all in one gulp. Shinshi looked at her drinking vigorously and raised the corner of his lip maliciously. Xuan, I didn't agree to him. Why should I take care of you? Do you have no hands, no feet, or no brains? That's right. Lu Jia nodded in agreement. Who are you to Xiaoxi? You should take care of her just because you ask her to. How dare you do that? Lin Chaishan also looked at Xuan with great displeasure, and said in a cold tone, stay away from Xiaoxi, she doesn't like you. Jiang Liyuan's expression was full of sarcasm and ridicule. Xuan, who do you think you are? How dare you order Miss Shen around? Do you really think that you can become a phoenix by hooking up with Mr. Mo? Xuan felt embarrassed and ashamed after hearing everyone's words, and his eyes suddenly turned red. Many men present felt sympathy. Miss Shen, you don't have to treat Miss Xu like this, right? Chapter 13, Rich Fiancé. That's right, I just asked you to keep an eye on it, it's no big deal. Yes, and besides, Miss Xu didn't do anything wrong. It was Master An who insisted on her. You can't blame her for that. Some things mean one thing to a woman and another to a man. They all thought that she was jealous and was deliberately embarrassing the girl. Many women present were pissed off by these brainless men, and were also very jealous of Xuan. How did she gain the attention of so many young masters? And even let them speak for her? Xuanqi made an innocent yet uneasy expression at the right time. Ms. Shen, I know that what happened between Enmo and me is very disturbing to you, but you also know that Enmo has never liked you. Shenxi didn't care about her words, and even seemed not to hear them. His cold black eyes glanced sinisterly at those who had just spoken. Since everyone here cares so much about Miss Xu, why don't you take care of her? Without waiting for those people to speak, Shenxi continued, I believe that with your protection, Miss Xu will not lose a single hair. The man upstairs looked at the scene below, with a cold smile on his lips. Pei Fan was horrified as he watched from the side. Every time Li Xiao shows this smile, it means that some people are about to be in trouble. Sure enough, the next second he heard the man's chilling voice, Pei Fan, go tell the Yin family that the old man won't see any guests. Pei Fan immediately understood the man's hidden meaning, hurry up and let Enmo take his woman away. Pei Fan loved doing this kind of thing the most, so he immediately agreed and ran away. Li Xiao's gaze fell on the girl again. She was about to leave after saying that, but Xuan suddenly grabbed her. Shenxi, you can't do this. Enmo asked you to take care of me. What was Shenxi thinking by leaving her to a group of men to take care of her? Shenxi avoided her calmly, his patience having long since run out. However, Xuan was wearing high heels and moved too fast, so she stumbled and fell to the ground, hitting the wine glass in Shenxi's hand. The scarlet liquid in the glass immediately spilled out, and the glass shattered all over the floor, scratching Xuan with the fragments. This scene happened too suddenly. From other people's perspective, it seemed that Shenxi deliberately tripped Xuan. Seeing this scene, the man could no longer sit still. At the same time, although he was refused to see the visitor, Father An was still making a last-ditch effort to meet with Mr. Pei. Just then, there was a sudden loud noise from downstairs. And Mo subconsciously looked in that direction and saw that was where Xuan was. And then, fearing that Xuan was being bullied, he no longer cared about anything else and immediately ran downstairs at a high speed. When I got there, I saw Xuan lying on the ground in a mess, his hands and arms scratched by glass shards, bleeding profusely. And the person standing next to Xuan is Shenxi. And Mo didn't think twice and immediately rushed over and pushed Shenxi away. Shenxi reacted and avoided most of his force in time, but was still pushed and staggered a few steps. She was wearing high heels and almost sprained her ankle. Fortunately, a strong arm supported her waist at this time. Are you okay? I heard the man's low, concerned voice. I'm fine, thank you. After Shenxi stood firm, she subconsciously tilted her head to look at the man who helped her. As a result, after seeing that face, she hissed again. Chapter 14, Rich Fiancé. Master Xiao. Master Xiao. Oh my god. What bad luck has she committed? No wonder she felt the man's voice was so familiar. Over there, and Mo had already helped Xuan up and was holding her in his arms, feeling very sorry for her. Xuan's little face wrinkled in pain, feeling embarrassed and aggrieved. And Mo felt angry and distressed when he saw this. He simply ignored the man beside Shenxi, directed his anger at Shenxi, and shouted, Shenxi, I asked you to take care of Anan, and you took the opportunity to bully her, didn't you? Lu Jiao and Lin Chaishan reacted quickly and stood in front of Shenxi. And Mo, you need to understand clearly that Xiaoxi didn't agree to help you take care of her. Besides, she was the one who rushed over to grab Xiaoxi, and she also fell because she didn't stand firmly. Why do you come here and blame Xiaoxi without knowing the truth? They saw clearly at that time that Shenxi just avoided Xuan's touch. She didn't stand firmly and fell down, and even almost knocked Xiaoxi down with her. Fortunately, Xiaoxi reacted quickly and only the wine glass in her hand was touched. And Mo, I'm fine, I'm really fine, don't blame Shenxi, I believe she didn't do it on purpose. Xuan silently shed tears and spoke up for Shenxi, and it was really me who sprained my ankle, it has nothing to do with her. But the more she said this, the more and Mo blamed Shenxi, and then, don't speak for her. I know she is bullying you on purpose. I'll take you to the hospital first, and then I'll settle the score with her after I come back. I definitely won't let today's incident go like this. He picked up Xuan by the waist, and when he said the latter part, he glared at Shenxi fiercely, then carried Xuan and was about to leave. But before he could take a step, a deep and powerful voice sounded. Wait, I told you to leave. Not only in Mo, but everyone else looked towards the source of the sound. I saw the man next to Shinshi at a glance. The man had a slender figure, wearing a well-tailored high-end suit, with his shirt buttoned meticulously to the top button. He had a strong aura, and was abstinent and noble. Even in Mo pales in comparison to him. At this moment, they realized that the man who had just supported Shinshi was actually the president of Li Group, Li Xiao. Master Xiao. Looking at the man beside Shinshi, who was protecting her, and Mo was stunned. Let's get things sorted out before we leave. Li Xiao glanced at him, then his eyes fell on the people who had come to watch the fun. Pei Fan, go get the surveillance. As soon as Pei Fan heard this, he knew that this person was going to help Shinshi, and he immediately said, okay, right away. Just when he went to get the surveillance video, Shin Jiyuan and GRU also rushed over. I just chatted with the old man for a long time, and when I came out, I heard the noise here, as well as in Mo's voice blaming Shinshi. 1111, are you okay? Are you hurt? GRU came over and looked Shinshi up and down. Don't worry, baby. Daddy won't allow anyone to bully you. A cold light flashed across Shin Jiyuan's bespectacled eyes. The usually gentle and bookish man became dangerous at this moment. And Mo looked at him unkindly. The infamily kid is so arrogant. He bullies my daughter just for a woman. Do you think I, Shin Jiyuan, don't exist? And Mo was a junior after all, so he was naturally at a disadvantage under Shin Jiyuan's gaze. He clenched his fist and said word by word, Uncle Shin, it was Shinshi who bullied Inan first. Didn't you see that she was so badly injured? Chapter 15, Rich Fiancé. Shin Jiyuan was so angry that he laughed. Okay. Let's wait for the surveillance video to come out. If things are not as you said. Before he could finish his words, and Mo's frightened voice was heard. Inan? At this moment, the girl in Mo's arms turned pale and had fainted. And Mo didn't care about anything else and ran out holding Shuan. As a result, before she ran to the door, she heard the man's cold and inhuman voice, stop them. After hearing the man's order, someone immediately appeared and blocked in Mo's way. And Mo looked at the man who gave the order with an angry look, his eyes bloodshot. At this moment, she also forgot her fear of men and shouted at the top of her lungs, Li Xiao. What do you want to do? Didn't you see that Inan has fainted? I'm taking her to the hospital now. Under Mo's angry gaze, Li Xiao's expression did not change, and his words were extremely cold-blooded, don't even think about leaving until the truth comes out. The girl who scammed him wants to just leave like that. There is no such thing. Shuan, who fainted in Mo's arms, was almost angry to death when he heard the man's arbitrary words. At the same time, he also felt a little bit of blame for Mo. She had clearly said that it was her own carelessness, so why did he insist on blaming Shinshi? Being stopped by Li Xiao's men, Mo couldn't leave. He could only grit his teeth and look at the man and said word by word, Li Xiao, if anything happens to Inan, I will not let you go no matter what the price. The man's mouth curled up with a bloodthirsty arc, and he said in the same way, if the truth of the matter is not what you said, from now on, neither the Li Group nor the Pei Group will consider cooperating with the Inan Group. Shin Jiyuan followed suit and said, the same is true for the Shin family. The daughter that he and his wife had cherished since childhood was not someone to be bullied. Brother Shin, President Li, isn't this decision too hasty? And Yupu quickly spoke up, isn't it too much of a fuss just for such a small matter? Madam An also spoke, but she was talking to Shinshi, yes, these are just children's little fights. Xiaoxi, Auntie apologizes to you on behalf of Xiaomor. Do you think this matter can be forgotten? In her heart, she liked Shinshi very much, and she also knew how important her son was to her. She felt that Shinshi would definitely agree. Shinshi didn't say anything. Pei Fan ran over quickly with the surveillance camera. Master Xiao. Bring the surveillance. I saw it, it was that woman who deliberately tried to harass Shinshi. If Shinshi hadn't dodged quickly, she would have dragged him down. After saying that, he stopped right in front of Li Xiao and handed him the laptop in his hand. Here, take a look. Li Xiao witnessed it with his own eyes, so he didn't even need to watch it. He simply turned the computer screen around, aimed it at Mo, and clicked play. In the scene, Shinshi wanted to leave, but Shuan didn't want to let her go, so he rushed forward to stop her, but ended up spraining his ankle. As she fell, she reached out to grab Shinshi, but Shinshi stepped aside and was not caught by her. However, the wine glass in her hand was knocked to the ground. After seeing the truth of everything, Mo's face did not look good. And Mo, why don't you apologize to Xiaoxi right away? Now that the truth has come out, An's father and mother both look unhappy, and they are even more displeased with Xuan and the others. If it weren't for this woman, their An family would not have lost the opportunity to cooperate with the Li family and the Pei family. And Mo held Xuan's hand and clenched it into a fist, his eyes falling on the girl with an indifferent expression. Chapter 16, Rich Fiancé. He pursed his lips tightly and finally said, Shenxi, I was wrong about this matter. I saw An was injured, so I was too impulsive and misunderstood you. After that, he took a deep breath and looked at the man next to Shenxi. Boss Li, can I take An away now? And Mo had never felt so aggrieved before. I felt bad after apologizing to Shenxi. If she wanted to take Xuan away, she actually had to ask for permission from this man. Li Xiao didn't look at him, his eyes fell on Shenxi, with an imperceptible tenderness. Whether they can leave or not is up to you to decide. If anyone disagrees, come find me. Hiss. As soon as he said this, the whole audience gasped. Mr. Xiao is planning to support Shenxi to the end. You looked so handsome when you said that just now. I really envy Shenxi. Not to mention others, even Shenxi himself was shocked. Her eyes were wide open and she looked up at him slightly, which looked quite cute. The man couldn't help but stretch out his palm and rub the top of her head. And Mo felt very uncomfortable when he saw this scene. So, he broke the beautiful scene and said, Shenxi, An was injured and lost so much blood. She is now unconscious. I want to take her to the hospital. Besides, I misunderstood you about this matter. An did nothing wrong. I've already apologized to you, so can I take An and leave? The women present couldn't help but roll their eyes after hearing what he said. Lu Jia was even more furious, and couldn't stop talking. Yeah, An did nothing wrong. She didn't say anything that could lead to misunderstanding, and she didn't want to drag Xiaoxi down with her. Also, An is so delicate. She fainted after just a small scratch on her palm. The blood on the ground was mixed with red wine, so it would not cause excessive blood loss. So pretentious. Seeing Xuan's eyelashes tremble slightly, Shenxi wanted to know how long she could endure. So, she tilted her head and looked at the man beside her. Master Xiao, the Pei family should have a private doctor, right? Why not ask him to check Miss Xu's injuries, so that there won't be any accidents on their way to their hospital, and then they will blame us for delaying time? The man responded, and Pei Fan took the initiative to call for help. Grandpa's personal doctor is here. I'll go find him right away. Now, even if An Mo wanted to take Xuan away, it would be impossible. Xuan gritted his teeth secretly, feeling panicked and angry. This Shenxi, she was injured, but she still didn't let her go. Soon, Pei Fan came back with an old man by his side. The old man is Mr. Pei's personal doctor, and his medical skills are very impressive. Mr. Chen. In front of the old man, An Mo had to be respectful. He placed Xuan on the seat, then turned Xuan's palm over and looked at the old man. Mr. Chen, please check An's injury. There were indeed a few cuts on the girl's white and tender palms and arms, but they were all minor scratches and the bleeding was not serious, and the bleeding had stopped long ago. Old Chen frowned after taking a look. And Mo's heart skipped a beat when he saw this, and he asked anxiously, Mr. Chen, is it An who? Before he finished asking, he saw Elder Chen straighten up and said in a cold tone, the wound is not serious. Clean it with alcohol and bandage it. Be careful not to touch water. It will be healed in a few days. Chapter 17, Rich Fiancé. And Mo also saw Xuan's wound. It looked hideous under the girl's delicate skin, but it was not serious. But Xuan's face was so pale, and Mo asked uncertainly, Mr. Chen, is An really okay? But she looks so bad, and she hasn't woken up yet. As soon as he finished speaking, a moan was heard. Xuan finally couldn't act anymore and slowly opened his eyes. Even though he was very angry, his expression was still confused and innocent. And Mo turned around and saw Xuan waking up, and quickly helped her up. And then, you finally woke up. Xuan blinked his eyes. What happened? What's wrong with me? You fainted suddenly, and I was scared to death. Or, maybe I got dazed when I fell. But I'm fine now, don't worry about me. As she spoke, she smiled faintly, as if she really had no idea what was going on. But the way people around her looked at her changed. Mr. Chen said it was just a minor wound and she didn't hit her head, so how could she faint? And she woke up by such a coincidence, it was obviously fake. Boss Li. And Mo and Shuan left, but Enyupu still wanted to save the chance of cooperation. But as soon as he opened his mouth, he met the man's chilling eyes. He said, "Do you want to leave by yourself, Mr. An, or do you want me to ask you to leave?" After being humiliated by a junior in front of so many upper-class people, Enyupu snorted coldly and left. Before leaving, he left a message: "Li Xiao, don't be so arrogant. It's just a loss of a few partners, it will definitely not have any impact on Ans." After Enyupu and Mrs. An left, Shen Jiyuan and Gru looked at the man next to Shen Shi. Xiao, today's incident is all thanks to you. 1111, why don't you thank your brother Xiao quickly? Following his mother's words, Shen Shi looked at the man. "Thank you, Master Xiao. Uncle and aunt, you don't have to be polite. This is what we should do. Besides, this matter is not Shen Shi's fault, so we naturally cannot let her down." The man's words really touched the heart of the couple. "Xiao, come to my house for dinner in a few days. Auntie will cook for you personally. Just consider it as a thank you for helping 1111. Come to think of it, you two haven't seen each other for a long time, right? Auntie still remembers that when we were little, our 1111 would run after her brother Xiao every day, and she would always say that she wanted to marry her brother Xiao in the future. But later on, their relationship seemed to become distant, and they almost never met formally. And the little girl who was chasing after Li Xiao also had someone she liked." When his mother mentioned the past, a look of confusion flashed across Shen Shi's eyes. It turns out that the little brother she particularly liked when she was a child was Li Xiao, not An Mo. She shook her head and tried hard to recall the scene of her chasing after An Mo. When she came to her senses, Li Xiao had already agreed to Gru. The birthday banquet officially began, and Mr. Pei finally appeared in everyone's sight. Shen Shi's heart was in a mess. So was it that her memory was distorted, or was she too young at the time and confused the two things? At this moment, Feng Hui's voice suddenly sounded in her mind. "Host, this is why I said you can't fight against the male and female protagonists. This is the restraint and constraint of the law of heaven. It wants you to like An Mo. Even if your original destiny is to be with Li Xiao, the law does not allow it, so you can only think that the person you like is An Mo." Chapter 18, Rich Fiancé. In order to prevent you from making the same mistake again, I asked you to stay away from the male and female protagonists. Shen Shi felt his scalp tingling after hearing this, and his face turned pale little by little. She lowered her head slightly, and the people around her didn't notice anything unusual about her, but Li Xiao seemed to have discovered something and his eyes fell on her. Shen Shi took a deep breath and tried to calm himself down. She used her consciousness to communicate with the system. "So, the person I really like should be Li Xiao?" "Yes." At this moment, Shen Shi's mind was buzzing and his face was pale. The memories that were originally covered in a layer of fog gradually emerged. When she was a child, the man who had a cold face but gently touched her head was Li Xiao. The person who helped her up after she fell, applied medicine on her and scolded her with a stern face was also Li Xiao. But later, that person became An Mo. Little stream. Suddenly, a man's urgent voice came to my ears. Shen Shi's eyes went dark and he completely fainted. All of this had a huge impact on her. Li Xiao supported her falling body in time. This sudden scene was enough to make him panic. Under the gaze of everyone, he quickly carried Shen Shi to the room upstairs, while Shen Jiyuan and Gru followed behind him with worried looks on their faces. Seeing this, Mr. Pei quickly said to the people around him, "Old Chen, hurry over and help." Shen Shi was just unconscious and was not seriously injured. In the darkness, she seemed to see everything she had experienced in her previous life. A scene that she had not noticed before was infinitely magnified in front of her. At the banquet, she humiliated Shuan with harsh words, embarrassed her like crazy, insulted and framed her, using every possible means. In the end, she was slapped in the face and An Mo broke off the engagement. She became the target of public criticism and ridicule. She was in such an embarrassing situation that after everyone's advice, it was Li Xiao who appeared and helped her resolve the situation, thus preventing her from being so embarrassed. Shen Shi slowly regained consciousness. She felt depressed and uncomfortable in her heart, and she didn't have the strength to open her eyes. "Host, are you okay?" Shen Shi was silent for a long time before he spoke. "Feng Hui, I want to know what happened after I died." This. Feng Hui was a little embarrassed. "Host, it's better if you don't know." "Why? Are you afraid that I won't be able to accept it after I know it, or are you afraid that I will turn evil to deal with them?" "All you are thinking is unnecessary, because I never intended to let them go from the beginning. The girl's voice was calm, unusually calm, and she was just stating a fact. Host, even someone as powerful as Li Xiao cannot shake them. You will die no matter what you do. From Feng Hui's words, Shenxi already knew what she wanted to know. Oh, if you don't try, how do you know it's impossible? Host, if you die again, you won't have a chance to come back. Oh. Shenxi stopped contacting Feng Hui and slowly opened his eyes. Someone came over to the bedside immediately, and said softly and gently, 1111, are you awake? Are you feeling uncomfortable anywhere? Baby, if you feel uncomfortable, please tell us. Mom and Dad, I'm fine. Shenxi's eyes slid from the two of them one by one, and finally landed on the man. Don't worry. I'm glad you're okay. You really scared us. Gru reached out and poked her head gently. Fortunately, Mr. Chen said you were just temporarily unconscious. There's nothing serious. Shenxi smiled and hugged her. Chapter 19, Rich Fiancé. Early the next morning, Shenxi was bombarded with all kinds of messages from Lu Jia. Creak. Creak. Are you awake yet? Oh, please tell me what the relationship between you and Master Xiao is. Yesterday, Mr. Xiao was a hero and saved the beauty. Wow, he was so handsome. She was so jealous, but she didn't have the chance to ask Shenxi yesterday. Looking at the various messages sent by Lu Jia, Shenxi held his forehead helplessly. Before I could reply to her, the video came. After Shenxi answered the call, the girl's chubby face came closer. Xiaoxi. Tell me you and Master Xiao are having an affair. She didn't sleep all night last night, thinking of various possibilities, and finally came to the conclusion that there must be a relationship between Shenxi and Li Xiao. If they don't have a leg, she will have no legs. Woo woo woo, isn't this handsome and charming man much better than that in Mo? Don't worry, Xiaoxi, I will support you and Master Xiao being together even if you sell me out. The corner of Shenxi's mouth twitched slightly. Jia, there is no relationship between Mr. Xiao and I for the time being, but if there is in the future, just wait and see. After that, she winked at Lu Jia. I won't talk to you anymore, I'm going to flirt with a man, hurry up and wish me success. The girl opposite blinked in confusion and replied subconsciously, I wish you success. Thank you dear, by Tilda. Shenxi hung up the video call, got up, washed up, and then set out to find Li Xiao. Li Xiao was surprised and delighted to see the girl standing at his door so early in the morning. Morning, Master Xiao, the girl smiled with eyes curved. She brought the things in her hands to him. Have you had breakfast? If not, I brought some. Let's eat together. Go in first. Li Xiao opened the door and let the girl in. As he walked in, he said, sit down for a while. I'll go take a shower and be down soon. He had just finished his morning run and was sweating, so he had to take a shower. He stopped halfway and looked at the girl not far away. How, do you know my house is here? The girl raised her lips slightly and said slowly, I asked Master Pei. You can ask me directly next time, the man said. Well, it's possible. The girl looked a little embarrassed. The man noticed and frowned slightly. What? Don't you want to ask him directly? The girl raised her eyes were seductive, and her voice was even more bewitching, but if I ask you directly, then there will be no surprise. It's up to you then. The man suddenly felt that he was being teased, so he threw down for words and hurried upstairs. When he came down, the girl had already taken out breakfast and was sitting obediently in a chair waiting for him. After seeing him, she waved her hand, Mr. Xiao, come over and have breakfast quickly. The tofu pudding here is delicious. Come and try it. It won't taste good if it gets cold. Good. The man walked over quickly and sat down opposite the girl. He picked up the spoon the girl handed over and took a bite under the girl's sparkling gaze. How is it? Is it delicious? The man raised his eyebrows slightly and nodded slightly, well, not bad. Upon hearing the man's comments, the girl's smile deepened. She picked up the spoon, tasted the tofu pudding in front of her, and squinted her eyes in satisfaction, like a sated cat. Millimeter. Delicious. I haven't eaten it in a long time, and it tastes just as good as before. Chapter 20, Rich Fiancé. Why did you suddenly come to see me today? The man asked casually. Shenxi propped up his chin and deliberately dragged his voice. My mother said that you should come to her house for dinner on the weekend. When she came out, Ms. Gru talked to her for a long time. The man slurred his mouth and took 2 bites of food. Auntie invited me, I will definitely go. So, the reason she came to him was just to pass on a message? So this breakfast is your thank you gift to me? The man hinted wildly. No, the girl shook her head and said honestly, I came out too early today. I didn't even have breakfast. I just bought your portion. As he spoke, he tightened his face and laughed secretly in his heart. Oh. Sure enough, I saw the man opposite me with his head down sullenly, picking at the food in front of him. Finally, she couldn't bear it anymore. If you want a thank you gift, then wait until you finish breakfast and go to Century Mall with me. Yeah, okay. The man agreed with his head down. A thank you gift that I asked for. It's better to have something than nothing. And she wanted him to accompany her to the mall, the purpose of which was to pick out gifts for him and make him happy. I finished my breakfast in a few bites and watched the girl opposite me eating in small bites. Her cheeks were puffed up, which was so cute. At this moment, he suddenly realized something and tapped the table with his finger. Shinshi, you don't seem to be afraid of me anymore. Obviously, when I helped her up at the banquet yesterday, she was still very afraid of me. But today I can chat and laugh with him happily. Shinshi paused for a moment, raised his head and looked at the person opposite him. That's because you are the little brother who will teach me a lesson with a cold face, but will also help me wipe my snot and tears. He was the best person to her besides her parents and friends. The man's pupils suddenly shrank because of her words, and his Adam's apple rolled a few times before he uttered, You remembered. Is it because Aunt G mentioned it before that you remembered it? The girl nodded slowly. Yes, I remember everything now, and I won't forget it again. Good. Century Mall. In a few days it will be the birthday of Xuan's childhood sweetheart, Lin Yang, so today Xuan and her best friend Jing Fangyi came together to choose a birthday gift for Lin Yang. Of course, the main reason was that after returning home yesterday, An's father and mother blamed everything on Xuan, which made her feel very uncomfortable, so she came out shopping to relax. Jing Fangyi noticed Shinshi was with a man. She quickly patted Xuan, then pointed in the direction of Shinshi and said in surprise, Anan, look, is that Shinshi? I was wondering why she let go of Mr. Mo so easily. Turns out she found another buyer. Jing Fangyi didn't know Li Xiao, but Xuan recognized his identity at a glance. Looking at the two of them together, she bit her lip unconsciously. Shinshi. Even without An Mo, she has always had a lot of good men around her. Why does she do that? Is it because she was lucky enough to be born in the Shen family? Even a noble man like Li Xiao submits to her? Even though he already had An Mo, Xuan was still extremely jealous at this moment. Anan, don't you want to buy a tie for Lin Yang as a birthday present? It's a good opportunity for us to go over and take a look. As she spoke, Jing Fangyi took Xuan's arm and walked towards the store where Shinshi and Li Xiao were. Not to mention, the man next to Shinshi is quite handsome. It's just that his vision is too bad. He actually fell in love with a woman like Shinshi. Chapter 21, Rich Fiancé. Shinshi, who was choosing a gift for Li Xiao, did not notice the arrival of the two people. She picked up a retro-colored tie and showed it to the man very skillfully. TSK, it turns out that she can look good in any outfit. Unreserved praise. Master Xiao, if there is anything you like, I will buy it for you. Shinshi waved his hand, as if he was going to spend a lot of money. Before Li Xiao could say anything, Jing Fangyi and Xuan came in. Hey, isn't this our Miss Shinshi? Jing Fangyi said sarcastically as soon as she arrived. It's only been a short time since you broke off your engagement with Mr. Mo, and you found a new man so soon. Shinshi looked in the direction of the sound and saw Xuan and the dog beside her. TSK, this guy is still as brainless as ever, but... Shinshi took a glance and then looked away. In Jing Fangyi's opinion, that meant he didn't take her seriously at all. Shinshi, don't think that if you do this, Mr. Mo will look at you more. The person Mr. Mo likes is An. Hearing Jing Fangyi's voice, Xuan came back to his senses. He tugged at her clothes and whispered, Fangyi, stop talking. Then he looked at Shinshi with an apologetic look. Miss Shen, don't take Fangyi's words to heart. She just said something that didn't fit her words. Anan, why are you stopping me? What I said is the truth. Mr. Mo has never liked her. She has always been the one pestering Mr. Mo. She even has the nerve to say that you seduced Mr. Mo. TSK, what a joke. Fangyi. I don't know which words touched Xuan's sore spot. She looked very ugly and scolded Jing Fangyi. Shinshi was watching the show from the side when he suddenly heard Feng Hui's voice. Huh? The heroine's aura value has dropped to 91%. There was a hint of surprise in the electronic sound. The protagonist's halo. Yes, generally speaking, the protagonist aura value is 100%. Shinshi thought for a moment, oh? What if this value drops to 0? Without the blessing of the protagonist's halo, I will no longer be the protagonist, the laws of heaven will no longer help me, and of course I will not have the good luck I had before. I see. During the time Shinshi was communicating with the system, Xuan and Jing Fangyi had already reconciled. Jing Fangyi took Xuan's arm and apologized in a gentle voice, and only then did Xuan forgive her. Jing Fangyi looked very happy. Then I will help you choose a gift for Lin Yang. I think this one is pretty good. His eyes moved around and finally landed on Shinshi's hand. He grabbed it without thinking. As a result, Shinshi dodged it nimbly and she almost bumped into the cabinet. Shinshi, why are you hiding? Shinshi dodged it and twisted her waist instead. Jing Fangyi glared at her with bared teeth. Shinshi stretched out his hand to stop Li Xiao, then looked at Jing Fangyi with a sneer and said, isn't it going to be a good idea to just stand there and let you snatch it? Does this guy have brains or not? Jing Fangyi pointed at Shinshi angrily, did you pay for this tie? No. Then let me see if it's not good enough. Did I say no? Shinshi raised his eyebrows slightly, glanced at her mockingly, and then said to the waiter, pack this one and the ones I just saw. Okay. The waiter took the tie and card from Shinshi. Shinshi tilted his head and admired Jing Fangyi's funny posture. Do you still want it now? How about selling it to you for 200,000? Chapter 22, Rich Fiancé. Hearing her raising the price, Jing Fangyi's face turned red with anger, and she gritted her teeth, wishing she could pounce on Shinshi and bite her. Xuan, who was watching the show on the side, finally couldn't help it and came over to support Jing Fangyi. He looked at Shinshi with an accusing look on his face. Ms. Shin, you've gone too far. Is there? Shinshi blinked innocently. If there is, it can't compare to you. Shinshi, don't go too far. Xuan's little face looked pale and aggrieved. She looked like she was being bullied and had to compromise. Fangyi, let's go somewhere else. Why? Jing Fangyi immediately broke free from her hand, pointed at Shinshi and shouted, Shinshi, do you really think this place is yours? We won't leave. What can you do? And then, since you're here, it's just right for you to pick one out for Mr. Mo. He will be so happy when he receives it. After saying that, she glanced at Shinshi with pride and complacency. Hey, the things here are not something that every pretty boy can wear. No matter how good looking he is still the man Shinshi paid for. How can he be compared with Mo Xiao? Jing Fangyi. Xuan's face changed in shock, but it was too late to stop it. And then, what's wrong with you? Jing Fangyi still didn't know who she had offended unintentionally. Shinshi raised his head and looked at the man beside him with a half smile. Master Xiao, there are actually people who say you are a gigolo. I silently lit a candle for Jing Fangyi in my heart. Hearing Shinshi addressing the man, Jing Fangyi's expression became even more disdainful. Master Xiao. Just this hired rookie. Bang. Before she could finish her words, she was slapped in the face, making her dizzy. Xuan took back his hand, his lips trembling as he dared not look at the extremely noble man. He lowered his head and apologized. Mr. Xiao. Mr. Xiao, I'm sorry, Fangyi didn't mean it. I apologize to you on her behalf. I hope you can forgive her for her careless words. Although the Yin family had already fallen out with Li Xiao at the birthday party, she couldn't afford to offend them. If the Yin family knew about it, they would definitely blame her even more. It's all Jing Fangyi's fault, that brainless person. At this moment, Jing Fangyi was awakened by a slap in the face. She had no time to resent Xuan anymore and knelt down in front of the man. She kept crying and begging for mercy. Master Xiao, I really didn't mean it. Please forgive me, I won't dare to do it again, please let me go. Master Xiao, as long as you can forgive me, I will do anything. She crawled over and tried to pull the man's trouser legs. As a result, before she even touched the man's clothes, she was kicked out harshly. Roll. The man's coldness and ruthlessness made Jing Fangyi's body instantly stiffen and her whole body turned cold. Jing Fangyi fainted from fright and Xuan had to help her up. Seeing that everyone around was pointing fingers at her and Jing Fangyi, her face became extremely ugly. Then, she heard the man's cold words again. From today on, N's company and anyone related to N's company are not allowed to set foot in Lee's business. His words of command made Shun feel like he had stepped into hell. She didn't dare to think about what Mo and the N family would do to her after they knew this. Host, the halo value on the head of the heroine has dropped by another 3%. Shinshi said, very good. Host, what do you want to do? Judging from the host's tone, there is a feeling that something is going to happen. Feng Hui expressed that he was very nervous. Chapter 23, Rich Fiancé. Lower the aura value, what else can we do? Can we kill them now? Feng Hui. So after it descends, we can kill it. If Shinshi knew what Feng Hui was thinking at this moment, he would definitely reply with 2 words yes. Li Xiao had Xuan and Jing Fangyi thrown out, and Xuan's aura value dropped another 3%. Shinshi was so happy that she stuffed all the beautifully packaged boxes handed to her by the waiter into Li Xiao's arms. These are all for you. The man's arms were stuffed full, and his fingers accidentally touched the girl's smooth fingertips, and his eyes gradually turned a little darker. He picked one at random and handed it to the girl. How about this one? Help me put it on and try it on. Shinshi looked at the thing handed to him, his eyes widened slightly. Me? Help you personally? Can I still have this benefit? Yeah. The man responded in a hoarse voice, leaning slightly closer, and said seriously, it's inconvenient with something in my hand. The man's enlarged handsome face is a silent temptation. Shinshi's fingers trembled slightly, and then he reached out to untie the tie around his neck. As the distance got closer, the girl's faint fragrance lingered around the man, intertwining with the fresh scent on his body. The girl's breath hit his neck through the fabric of her clothes, ambiguous and seductive. After tying the tie, Shinshi hadn't taken her hand back yet when the man's hot and seductive voice rang in her ears. Miss Shin, have you ever heard that when a woman gives a man a tie and ties his tie, she wants to tie him down for life? The man was about to stand up, but the girl pulled him closer. He met the girl's eyes and their noses touched faintly. Shinshi tiptoed slightly and said with a half smile, Boss Lee is trying to trick me. Then may I ask, have I got the trick? The man looked at the beauty in front of him, his eyes deepened, and without waiting for Shinshi's answer, he pressed down aggressively, raised his chin slightly and kissed the girl's soft lips. When he left, the man's low voice with a hint of laughter rang in his ears. It seems that my trick has worked. When she stood up, the man put his large palm on the top of her head and rubbed it gently. Shinshi was still in a daze and hadn't reacted. Her eyes widened slightly, and she couldn't believe it. Li Xiao actually kissed her? Although she had just flirted with him, she really didn't have the courage to do anything to him. Li Xiao looked at the girl with wide eyes and felt slightly annoyed. Was he too impatient and therefore scared her? Shinshi came back to his senses, licked his lips subconsciously, and then changed the subject. By the way, Ms. Gru asked me to ask you if you have any dietary restrictions. Li Xiao pursed his lips and replied, no. Early in the morning on weekends. After breakfast, Gru was busy preparing fresh ingredients and picked up Shinshi, who was still lazing in bed. Hurry up, little girl, and ask our Xiao when he can come. Listen, if Li Xiao comes, she will be reduced from a baby to a little girl. Shinshi grabbed the quilt and groaned, he has a meeting and will be here before noon. I made some soup. Please bring it to the company for our Xiao. Ms. Gru did not give up and pulled her out of the quilt. Shinshi. There is no hope in life. Ms. G, are you still my biological mother? Hurry up, if you don't go, don't blame your mother for exposing your shortcomings in front of our Xiao. Chapter 24, Rich Fiancé. Expose her shortcomings. What could be wrong with her? Gru glanced at her and said slowly, I don't know who it is. When I was a child, I secretly kissed my little brother on the face while he was asleep. Shinshi. Oh, I remember I took photos back then. Mom, Shinshi jumped up and interrupted Gru's words, saying coquettishly, thank you for your hard work, mother. I will go and give warmth to Master Xia right away. I promise to convey your thoughts to you. That's more like it. You little brat, you're still too young to fight with your mother. There was a very important meeting today, so Li Xiao came to the company early in the morning for the meeting. After Shinshi arrived at Li's, he knew that he was still in a meeting, so he didn't tell him that he was there. The girl at the front desk saw her and asked politely, excuse me, miss, who are you looking for? Shinshi walked towards the front desk and said, looking for your CEO Li. Which floor is the reception room on? I'll go there and wait for him. Shinshi knew roughly when Li Xiao's meeting would start, so he planned to go to the reception room and wait. Before the receptionist could speak, the woman standing next to him sneered, "There are all kinds of people here now. You said you wanted to see our CEO Li, do you have an appointment? You know, there are countless women who come to get close to their boss Li every day for various reasons." The woman saw that Shinshi was good looking and holding a thermos bucket, so she knew that she was one of those women. But this woman was smart, but she also felt threatened. Because Shinshi's appearance was so outstanding, she absolutely could not let this woman appear in front of President Li. After thinking about it, she immediately became alert. Seeing Shinshi actually lowering his head to look at his phone, she said unhappily, "Why don't you leave quickly? Do you want me to call the security guards to chase you away?" Shinshi frowned slightly, and roughly knew where the hostility of this woman towards her came from. However, she didn't intend to disturb Li Xiao, so she contacted Pei Fan. Pei Fan sent her special assistant Yarn's contact information. Shinshi dialed the number. Seeing that Shinshi ignored her warning and even made a phone call in front of her, the woman became impatient. "Hey, I told you to leave just now but you didn't. I think you're just refusing to accept my toast. Security. Where's the security? Come quickly and kick this woman out. Otherwise, people will think that anyone from our Li family can come in." Sister Amy. The front desk reacted and tried to stop it. Amy glanced over and said, "If you want to help her, get out with her." The little girl was frightened by her and didn't dare to say a word. After all, Amy's uncle is the company's technical director, and she can't afford to offend him. When Shinshi got through, the person on the other end spoke up, "Excuse me, is this Miss Shin?" Please wait a moment. Master Pei Fan has already told me. I will go down to pick you up right away. Okay, don't tell your president. Okay. As soon as Shinshi hung up the phone, 2 security guards came in. When they saw Amy, they both politely called her Sister Amy. "Well, you guys kick this woman of unknown origin out and don't let her set foot in the Li family again." Amy nodded with satisfaction, and then ordered them to drive Shinshi away. The 2 looked at Shinshi with some hesitation. After all, Shinshi did not look ordinary. Seeing that the 2 did not move, Amy's expression darkened. "Why are you still standing there? If Boss Li sees this, who will punish you or me?" Chapter 25, Rich Fiancé. In the past, everyone who came to Li's house was a socialite of status, but didn't Li Xiao still not give them face? Moreover, they didn't know the woman in front of them. Thinking of this, the 2 stepped forward and said, "Excuse me, young lady." Shinshi looked at the 2 of them and said, "Boss Li's special assistant will be here soon. Are you sure you want to kick me out?" When they heard this, they stopped in their tracks. Amy sneered after hearing this, "Who do you think you are? You know Special Assistant Yang. Are you still going to say that it was our president who asked Special Assistant Yang to pick you up? What a big face. She has a big face. I think your face is big." At this moment, a cold and murderous voice sounded. Turning around, I saw a distinguished man in a suit walking towards me with a cold face. "Mr. Li. Mr. Li." Amy's face froze for a moment, and the 2 security guards were trembling in their hearts. When he looked at the girl, Li Xiao's expression calmed down. When he came to Shinshi's side, his eyes were tender and nostalgic. "Why did you come here without telling me?" If Pei Fan hadn't secretly told him that Shinshi had come to Li's, he wouldn't have known that she was being bullied in her own territory. Special Assistant Yang behind him looked at Shinshi and gave her an apologetic look. He didn't know how President Li suddenly knew that Miss Shin was coming. But I think it was Master Pei who leaked the news. "Mr. Li." Seeing the man treating Shinshi so gently and specially, Amy felt both afraid and jealous. Many famous ladies from aristocratic families in Beijing could not get the favor of Li Xiao. She originally wanted to take advantage of him, but Li Xiao had never looked at her straight in the eye, and what's more, there had never been any woman in his eyes. But what right does this woman in front of me have? Li Xiao ignored her and took the thing from Shinshi's hand. He raised his brows and said, "For me." "Well, Ms. Gru insisted that I bring it to you." For this, he even threatened her. Shinshi said that the relationship between mother and daughter was broken for a second. The man laughed and took her hand. "Come on, I'll take you upstairs." Shinshi followed him without saying anything. The others breathed a sigh of relief, and Amy's heart burst into unprecedented joy. It seems that this woman is not that important in President Li's heart. But before they could finish being proud, Special Assistant Yarn's voice rang out. From today on, Amy is officially fired by Lee's. And your uncle will be subject to a comprehensive investigation by the company. Once any mistakes are found, he will be kicked out of Lee's company immediately. As soon as I heard his words, I knew that the woman was not unimportant in Lee Xiao's heart, but too important. Why? Amy was unconvinced. Why? Special Assistant Yarn glanced at her. Because Lee's company belongs to Mr. Lee. After that, he stopped looking at Amy and looked at the security guard and the front desk. I asked you to come to the company to serve the Lee Group and Mr. Lee, not to listen to anyone's orders. Although his words were cold and harsh, they were much better than when he treated Amy. Shinshi was taken to Lee Xiao's office. As soon as she entered, the man pushed her against the door. His breath was aggressive and oppressive. Shinshi, you ignored me all day yesterday. Their voice sounded a little aggrieved. Shinshi tilted his head, his face slightly red. The man pinched her chin and made her look at him. You don't want me anymore after I just tricked you into giving it to you, ho? Shinshi. Who is deceiving whom? In short, she shouldn't have said that much a few days ago. Chapter 26, Rich Fiancé. At that time, Li Xiao felt that he had already kissed her, and he couldn't just pretend that nothing had happened, so he told Shinshi that he would be responsible for her. At that time, Shinshi's brain was twitching, and he subconsciously teased, it seems that Master Xiao has been plotting against me for a long time. He did it on purpose last time in the bar, right? After she said that, she regretted it. In the end, the man not only admitted it, but also said in a domineering manner, Shinshi, since you know everything, you can't run away. Then, he used a combination of deception and seduction to completely bewitch Shinshi, and she agreed to be with him. Thinking of the man in the car at that time, he untied his tie with one hand and unbuttoned a few buttons on his shirt with one hand. Shinshi swallowed and reached out to push him away. Have you finished your meeting? Be good and go to the meeting. After the meeting, come back and drink soup. No hurry, the man took her arm and led her to sit on the sofa. The meeting is suspended. I still have 20 minutes. Sitting next to Shinshi, the man poured out a small bowl of soup and took a sip. Did Auntie make it herself? It tastes great. Just as she said this, Shinshi's cell phone rang. She took it out and saw that it was a message from Ms. Ji, asking her where she was and whether she had arrived at Lee's company. She didn't tell her when she arrived, and there was a lot of chatter. After the voice message ended, Shinshi looked at the man beside him and complained, why does my mother like you so much? Wasn't she the treasure before? Now she has become Li Xiao. The man looked over and thought for a moment before saying, maybe, I love you so much that I love your dog too. Shinshi, drink your soup quickly, then go to the meeting. As she spoke, she replied to her mother. Would you like to try it too? Hearing the man's voice, Shinshi didn't think much about it and said directly, well, it just so happens that I haven't had breakfast yet, and I'm a little hungry. Just leave some for me. As soon as the message was sent, she heard Li Xiao calling her name. Shinshi raised her head with some doubts, and was kissed on the lips by the man, and then a burst of mellow fragrance passed into her mouth. More? The man asked, his forehead against hers. Yes. How could I say no at this time? I think it tastes better this way. The man's eyes darkened and covered her again. When Li Xiao and Shinshi arrived at Shen's house with gifts, the food was almost ready. Seeing Li Xiao, Ms. Gru was so happy. Our Xiao is here, come in and sit down, you will be able to taste Auntie's cooking in a while. Li Xiao nodded, Auntie's soup is delicious. Gru seldom cooks by herself, so she was so happy to be praised. She walked inside with Li Xiao, having long forgotten about her own daughter. After Shinshi entered, he could only look at Shin Jiyuan, who had suffered the same fate, and waved his claws at him. Dad, it seems that your position is no longer secure. Mr. Shin glanced at her slowly and said, better than you. After that, he said to Ms. Gru, Xiao, are you, have a good chat with our Xiao, I'll help you watch the pot. Well, sprinkle a little salt in the fish soup I'm stewing. Hey! Right away. Seeing Mr. Shin happily entering the kitchen, Shinshi. Seeing that Gru and Li Xiao were chatting happily, Shinshi did not disturb them. He said, I'll go back to my room to change clothes first, and went back to his room. After she left, Gru secretly asked Li Xiao, how is it done? Chapter 27, Rich Fiancé. Li Xiao nodded slightly, well, I also want to thank Auntie for her help. Gru waved her hand and gave him a look, why thank you? I feel relieved to leave 1111 to you. Auntie has always had eyes for you since you were a child. Fortunately, you two are destined to be together. I will do my best to treat Xiaoxi well. As long as I am here, she will not suffer any grievances. Li Xiao made a solemn promise. Gru was still very confident in Li Xiao's character, otherwise he would not have helped Li Xiao and let Shenxi find him. When Shenxi changed his clothes and came out, only Li Xiao was sitting on the sofa, while Gru and Shen Jiyuan were in the kitchen. Shenxi walked over and sat next to him. Master Xiao, what did my mother talk to you about? Didn't you mention her dark history? Seeing her coming over, the man smiled and said, Auntie asked me what I thought of her baby daughter and whether I wanted to consider it. Shenxi immediately looked at him. Then how did you answer? Li Xiao, not bad, I can consider it. Shenxi looked at him dimly. Before she could speak, Li Xiao took the initiative and said, You said not to tell uncle and aunt about our relationship for the time being. Hey, Shenxi sneered abruptly, you should say that she is very good, and she should be the one to consider me. What do you think, Mr. Li? Li Xiao, I think you are right. I finally saw how powerful women are. I dare not provoke them. After dinner, when Li Xiao left in the afternoon, Gru was reluctant to let him go and invited him to come to their house often. Only after Li Xiao agreed did she let him go. A few days later, Lu Jia contacted Shenxi on WeChat. Xiaoxi, have you prepared Xixin's birthday present? Do you want me to prepare one for you? Lin Xixin's birthday is the day after tomorrow, and Lu Jia is choosing a birthday present for him, so she came to ask Shenxi. No, I'm ready. That's fine. Lu Jia replied, and after a while, she sent another message. How are you and your master Xiao doing? Will you take him with you when the time comes? It also comes with a vulgar emoticon pack, which is obviously gossiping. Shenxi said calmly, young couple who just got together, what do you think? Lu Jia was so fed up with her dog food that she said goodbye to her directly. After talking to Lu Jia, Shenxi asked Lin Chaishan if he could bring his friends to his birthday party. Only after he agreed did Shenxi mention this matter to Li Xiao. Lin Chaishan's birthday party was held at the bar that Shenxi went to last time. When she and Lu Jia arrived, there were already quite a few people inside and it was very lively. Seeing them coming, Lin Chaishan came over immediately. Lu Jia first wished him happy birthday and handed him the gift she brought. Lin Chaishan thanked her, and Lu Jia waved casually and walked in first. Seeing that there was no one around Shenxi, Lin Chaishan smiled and asked first, Xiaoxi, your friend is not coming. In fact, Lu Jia had hinted to him many times, both openly and secretly, that Shenxi had a boyfriend. Happy birthday. Shenxi first gave the gift to Lin Chaishan, and then replied, he has something to do, and will be here soon. Lin Chaishan was stunned for a moment before opening his mouth. Okay. Shenxi was in no hurry to leave. His eyes fell on his hands. Open it and take a look. I guarantee you'll like it very much. Hearing her say this, Lin Chaishan did not refuse and directly opened the box. When he saw what was inside, he was a little bit unbelievable. Chapter 28, Rich Fiancé. Inside is an airplane model, a collectible item, very precious. This. Seeing his reaction, Shenxi smiled and said, I know you like this model very much and have always wanted it, so I thought of some ways to get it. I hope you like it. This was something she had started working on after she saw Lin Chaishan last time, and luckily she got it before his birthday. Thank you. Lin Chaishan was very happy, really happy, but also a little disappointed. In the bar, in another private room. Lin Yang, happy birthday to you. This is my birthday present to you. Xuan held an exquisite box in both hands and placed it in Lin Yang's hands, then waited expectantly for him to open it. Lin Yang opened the box under her gaze, revealing a valuable tie inside. Thank you, Anan. I like your gift very much. As he spoke, he touched Xuan's head, his eyes gentle and doting. The two of them didn't notice at all what the girl who came in to serve wine did behind their backs. The girl quickly went out, took out her cell phone and sent a message. Nailed it. In box number 1, the woman who received the message smiled, paid attention to the time, and asked someone to send a message to Anmo. Xuan celebrated Lin Yang's birthday in room 11 of the night bar. There were only 2 of them in the room, and they behaved very intimately. After seeing the anonymous text message, Anmo didn't think twice, picked up his coat, put it on and went out. The two were having a conflict over something that happened a few days ago, so Xuan went alone to celebrate Lin Yang's birthday. And Mo could see that Lin Yang was interested in Xuan. Seeing that the message said that the two were alone together and behaved intimately, how could he sit still? He drove very fast and arrived in almost 10 minutes. As soon as he arrived here, he had a bad feeling in his heart and walked towards the box quickly. When he reached the door, his hand was on the door handle, and for some reason his heart was beating fast. After hesitating for a moment, he knocked on the door and called out, "Anan." After a while, there was no movement inside, so he went to open the door. However, the scene inside froze his expression on his face. After realizing what was happening, he slammed the door shut with a bang, his voice filled with endless chill. "Xuan." R. The loud noise had brought the two back to consciousness. Xuan screamed and quickly pushed Lin Yang away. When she saw Mo at the door, looking at her coldly, her flushed face turned pale in an instant. "And Mo, it's not like that. It's not what you see." "And?" Lin Yang reacted and hurried forward. "Go away. Don't touch me." Xuan pushed him away fiercely, but her strength was so weak that it had no effect at all. Seeing that Mo didn't say anything, she just kept crying, which made Lin Yang feel very distressed. He stepped forward, hugged Xuan, and comforted her in a gentle voice. "Anan, don't cry, this is all my fault. Don't worry, I will definitely be responsible for you." Xuan didn't push him away this time, but what she wanted was not Lin Yang's responsibility. She didn't need his responsibility. Deep down, she was just looking forward to what Mo would do. Seeing Xuan crying so desperately, and considering the text message that led him here, Mo frowned, realizing that things were not as simple as he saw. "What is going on?" When he asked the question, there was a hint of coldness in his tone, but it sounded like heavenly music to Xuan's ears. Chapter 29, Rich Fiancé. Xuan shook his head blankly, as if he had no idea what was going on. Lin Yang thought about it carefully and said, "I don't know exactly what happened, but after drinking." The rest of the words were not spoken, but you can probably guess them. "Someone put something in the wine." Xuan's eyes were red. Who on earth would do this to me? Knowing that it was not her fault, Mo walked towards her and said, "Don't worry, I will have someone investigate this matter thoroughly." When he said this, his tone was very cold. If the other party dared to touch his woman, he would make that person pay the price. When he approached, he took off his coat, wrapped Xuan's scarred body, and picked her up by the waist. "I'll take you to the hospital." Xuan nodded obediently in his arms. At the same time, in box number 1, Shenxi received a message from Li Xiao, saying that he would be there soon, so Shenxi came out to meet him. As soon as he came out, he bumped into Mo, who had a sullen face and was holding Xuan. Shenxi glanced at him unintentionally and saw that Xuan was only covered with a piece of clothing. She opened her eyes slightly. "Fuck. Is it so exciting?" However, Mo looked at her with disgust, already regarding her as the instigator. He glared at her fiercely, suppressed his anger and said, "Shenxi, this matter is not over today." After saying that, he carried Xuan and left quickly, leaving Shenxi with a puzzled look on his face. Why won't she be spared? What did she do to Xuan? Before Shenxi left, Lin Yang came over and glared at her fiercely. "Shenxi, if anything happens to Anan, just wait." Shenxi. Just, inexplicably. Before Shenxi moved, Phone Hui's electronic voice sounded. "Congratulations to their host, the male protagonist's aura value has dropped to 80%, and the female protagonist's has dropped to 75%. Shenxi was surprised. Why did it drop so much? I didn't do anything, right? So what happened? In fact, from Mo and Lin Yang's attitudes, as well as Xuan's, she could probably guess a little. Someone drugged the heroine and her childhood sweetheart. They were doing dirty things and were seen by the hero. Phone Hui is a little shy to say this, after all, he is a pure baby. Shenxi, so, I am taking the blame. Suddenly, she thought of something, and her eyes darkened a little, becoming terrifyingly gloomy. So, in the previous life, Xuan deliberately bumped into her and caused her miscarriage because the child was Lin Yang's, not Mo's. Thinking of this, Shenxi felt terribly depressed. It was because of that incident that led to the final outcome of her and the Shen family. Shenxi clenched her fingers, and when she felt she was about to suffocate, a voice rang in her ears. Why are you standing here? Are you waiting for me? The man's deep voice sounded, and the refreshing aura around him enveloped her, and Shenxi suddenly calmed down. She looked up at Li Xiao and held his arm. Let's go in now. Yeah. Li Xiao responded and raised his hand to rub her head. Because of his action, Shenxi's mood completely improved. This was not the first time for Xuan, and the medicinal properties of the medicine were not very strong, so after a physical examination and finding that there was nothing wrong with her, Anmo took her back. Anmo didn't say a word along the way. Xuan was very nervous. She was afraid that Anmo would blame her. But all this was arranged by that bitch Shenxi. Thinking of Shenxi, Xuan's teeth were about to break. Chapter 30, Rich Fiancé. As soon as I entered the house, Xuan's muffled voice came, "Anmo, I want to take a shower, can you help me?" Taking Xuan to the bathroom, she put her arms around Anmo's neck and said with a sweet breath, "Anmo, I want you, only you, I want to belong to you, only your scent." She knew that only by letting Anmo do it with her would he feel less resentful. Xuan's initiative, the words she said. Anmo thought about what he saw at that time. The next morning, after Anmo woke up, he saw the marks left on Xuan's body. He couldn't say whether he felt good or bad. After all, Xuan was the victim in this matter and she did not do it voluntarily. All this is Shenxi. Just as he was thinking about it, his cell phone rang and Anmo took it and took a look. Inside is a transfer record and chat record. Xuan happened to wake up. He opened his eyes slightly and saw Anmo holding the phone in a daze. "Anmo, what's wrong with you?" She spoke, her voice hoarse from the aftermath. Anmo came back to his senses and unfolded his phone. There is a piece of evidence in it. Jiang Liyuan bribed a waiter in the bar. It was also her who had someone give Yuan Lin Yang the drugs. I don't know who sent this evidence. When Anmo saw Shenxi yesterday, he was sure that she was the one who did it, so he didn't ask anyone to investigate. The message sent anonymously could definitely not be from Lin Yang. Xuan saw the evidence in his phone, her eyelashes drooped slightly, and she said softly, "I remember that Jiang Liyuan and Miss Shen seemed to have a very good relationship." These words were meant to lead to Shenxi. Anmo obviously heard it. He said gently, "I will have someone ask about it and will not let you suffer in vain." "Anmo, thank you for believing in me," Xuan smiled, "Lin Yang and I are just friends. I don't have that kind of feeling towards him. The only person I love is you." "Well, I believe it," Anmo kissed the top of her head, "but don't go out alone with Lin Yang in the future." "Okay, I get it. I'll definitely take you with me when I go find him next time." With Anmo's instructions, Jiang Liyuan was soon brought to him. Seeing Xuan still staying with Anmo with a smug look on his face, Jiang Liyuan couldn't believe it. There was no mistake at all. When Anmo arrived, Lin Yang and Xuan had already had sex. Jiang Liyuan didn't believe that Anmo would still want Xuan after seeing that kind of scene. "Mr. Mo, Xuan has slept with another man. This kind of woman." Before he could finish his sentence, he was slapped hard in the face. Xuan stared at her with red eyes and scolded, "Jiang Liyuan, you had someone frame me and slandered me in front of Anmo. Tell me. Was it Shenxi who asked you to do that?" "Shenxi?" Jiang Liyuan was confused for a few seconds, but she quickly reacted, "Yes. Shenxi asked me to do this. What do you think? By the way, there is one more thing you may not know. Shenxi has a boyfriend. Do you know who he is?" When Anmo first heard that Shenxi had a boyfriend, he felt uncomfortable for a moment. After all, he thought that Shenxi treated Xuan like this because of him. As a result, Jiang Liyuan told him that Shenxi already had a boyfriend. Jiang Liyuan wanted to get out of this, but she didn't want to offend Shenxi, so she continued, "Shenxi's boyfriend is Master Xiao, Li Xiao." Chapter 31, Rich Fiancé. Jiang Liyuan still remembers the intimacy between Li Xiao and Shenxi yesterday, as well as Shenxi's introduction of him. "I felt sour in my heart, but at the same time I was extremely envious." What? This is impossible. Xuan and Anmo couldn't accept this fact. Jiang Liyuan hit him mercilessly, "Don't believe it. Then go ask Lin Chaishan and Lu Jia, ask them if this is true." She was so confident and not afraid of verification that she knew it was a done deal. Jiang Liyuan was tied up and pressed to the ground. She could only look up at Anmo. "Mr. Mo, Mission told me to do this, so I have to do it. If you want to find her, go find her. Let me go." Until now, she still confidently believed that Anmo would let her go. Unexpectedly, Anmo listened to her and waved his hands at his men, "Take him away and do whatever you want with him. Just don't let him die." Seeing herself being dragged away, Jiang Liyuan finally broke down and yelled, "Mr. Mo, I was wrong, let me go." Mr. Mo, please let me go. Shuan, Shuan. Please beg for mercy on me, please beg for mercy on me. Unfortunately, no one paid any attention to her and she was quickly dragged out. After her voice disappeared, Shuan looked at the people around him and asked in a low voice, "And Mo, do you think Shinshi is really with?" And Mo nodded, it should be true. He didn't want to believe it, but last time at Pei's house and Century Mall, he could see that Li Xiao was interested in Shinshi. But he never expected that Shinshi, who loved him so deeply, would be together with Li Xiao so soon. "Well, let's just forget about this matter," Shuan said with a wry smile, "as long as you don't despise me." And Mo reacted and frowned, "Why should we forget it? Does she think that she can cover the sky with one hand just by being with Li Xiao? I must make Shinshi pay for this." Shuan moved his lips, but didn't say anything else, but a faint smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Recently Shinshi has been helping with work at Shin's. Today, she drove to the company by herself as usual. Halfway through the drive, I glanced in the rearview mirror, and at the same time, the sound of the wind blew. "Host, someone is following your car." "Yeah," Shinshi replied calmly, with no clue in his tone, "I found it." After saying that, she suddenly increased the speed, and the red car rushed out like a stream of light. Discovered. The person behind the car looked at it and his face suddenly changed. He cursed, "Fuck. Driving so fast, is she going to die? Hurry up and catch up with her. Otherwise, if she runs away this time, there will be no chance to catch her again." They have been observing her for several days, and during these days she has been going between the Shin family and the company. There are fewer people on their way to the company in the morning, which is the best time to catch her. But now that she has been discovered, if she escapes, it will not be easy to catch her again. "Host, you are driving so fast, are you risking your life?" In front, Shinshi's car was driving very fast. When turning, even Feng Hui felt that the car was going to be thrown out. But Shinshi's expression was unusually calm. She still had the leisure to talk to Feng Hui. "Yes, of course I want it. How can I not want it? If I get caught by them, I will really die." She was a pretty good driver and had learned some martial arts, but she knew that there were too many people on the opposite side, which would be very disadvantageous to her. Shinshi discovered it early and reacted quickly, leaving those people's cars far behind in the first place. Chapter 32, Rich Fiancé. Arriving at Shin's, she got out of the car calmly. When those people chased after her, she smiled and waved to them, then walked into the company under their noses. Those people were very angry, but Enmo ordered them to take her away secretly, and they did not dare to break into Shin's. "Fuck. Just let that woman get away. How do I tell the master about this? After being discovered this time, she will definitely have people around her. I'm afraid there's no chance of catching her." They were right. Shinshi guessed that it was Enmo who sent people to capture her. But she never expected that even after she put the ironclad evidence in front of Enmo, he was still so stupid. Or maybe, he had already decided in his heart that everything was done by her and nothing else mattered. In the next few days, Shinshi was always protected by someone, and the people sent by Enmo had no chance of success and could only report the truth. A bunch of trash. Enmo angrily threw his phone on the sofa. He waited for so many days, and this is the result. How could he be willing? Shuan comforted him, "Enmo, why don't we just forget about this matter? It's not worth it to offend the Li and Shin families for my sake." How could Enmo let her suffer any injustice, especially since that incident was a thorn in his heart that made him feel uncomfortable every time he felt it? He brushed Shuan's hand away and walked out. "I will never let this go. I just don't believe it. If I go to find her in person, she can avoid me." Shuan stepped forward and grabbed his arm. "Then I'll go with you." Enmo refused. "No, Anan, I'm afraid you're too soft-hearted and won't be able to help but plead for her." Shuan lowered his eyes to hide the expression in his eyes, tugged at Enmo's clothes with his fingers, and said softly, "Then you should be careful, and don't be too hard on her, she did those things for you. Anan, you are still too nice to Shinshi." Enmo felt that Shuan was too kind-hearted and was now pleading for Shinshi. After he left the door, Shuan tightened his fingers tightly, took a deep breath, and looked fierce. "Shinshi, this matter will never be resolved so easily." Although the person who had a relationship with her was Lin Yang, Enmo didn't mind, but Shuan also wanted Shinshi to experience it personally. Shin family. Shinshi was handling official business when the front desk called and said Enmo wanted to see her. Shinshi pondered the reason why Enmo came, and said slowly, "Then, bring him over." "Okay." After receiving a response from the other end, Shinshi hung up the phone and lowered his eyes to continue with the work at hand. After a while, Mo was brought in. He slammed the office door, then quickly walked to Shinshi's desk and slapped him hard. There was a bang on the table, followed by Mo's angry voice. Shinshi, it was you who asked Jiang Liyuan to bribe the bar waiter to drug Anan, and then asked me to see everything. Shinshi really wanted to roll her eyes when she heard this. She stood up and said with overwhelming momentum, Mo, are you mentally retarded? If I did it, I would tell you the truth and then let you go find Jiang Liyuan and listen to her betray me. What? After hearing Shinshi's series of words, Mo was stunned. Did you send those evidences? After asking, without waiting for Shinshi to answer, he immediately refuted. So what if it was you who sent it? It was just to mislead me. Do you think I would believe you? Chapter 33, Rich Fiancé. Suddenly, he stretched out his hand to clamp Shinshi's wrist, and pulled her towards him. He fixed his eyes on her face and sneered. Shinshi, I heard that you and Li Xiao are together. Looking closely at the girl's calm expression and her beautiful face, he suddenly felt uncomfortable when he thought that she was with another man. His eyes wandered over the girl, and he leaned in slightly. A sneer appeared on the corner of his mouth. Tell me, if I return to you everything you did to Anan, do you think Li Xiao will still want you? You like me, right? You did all that for me, right? I'll give you a chance now. Pleasure me. Bang. Shinshi raised his other hand and slapped him without hesitation. Just you, I feel really disgusted. Shinshi uttered a few cold words slowly, looking at the stunned Mo. She shook her hand and felt that her wrist was hurt. Shinshi used all her strength in this slap, and Mo was caught off guard. He saw stars, and after he finally recovered, he heard her extremely disgusted tone again. He licked the corner of his mouth and rushed forward. How dare you hit me? Don't think that I won't dare to touch you just because this is Shin's. Touch my daughter? Just try it. The office door reopened and a middle-aged man appeared at the door with a cold look and tone. After Mo arrived, someone went to find Shin Jiyuan. He didn't hear what was said before, otherwise he would have taken action by now. Uncle Shin, Mo calmed down and looked at Shin Jiyuan calmly, then said, it was Shinshi who first had someone drug Anan in order to destroy her innocence, so I came to find her. You also understand how important a girl's innocence is. Shinshi is really vicious for doing this. Shin Jiyuan certainly believed that Shinshi could not have done those things, so he looked at Mo and asked, do you have any evidence for what you said? Mo nodded. Of course, Jiang Liyuan said it herself, that Shinshi instructed her to do it. Oh, Shin Jiyuan sneered immediately after hearing this. Does her words have to be true? I said she wanted to frame my precious daughter. Hearing him defend Shinshi for no reason, Mo's face turned completely cold. She is usually close to Shinshi, and she often bullies Anan because of Shinshi. These are indisputable facts. Also, you said it wasn't Shinshi's fault, then why was Shinshi also in that bar on the day and got into trouble? And why did he happen to run into us? He didn't believe it was such a coincidence. This time, Shinshi spoke first. Mo, that day is Lin Cixin's birthday, and his birthday party is being held there. After saying that, when Mo opened his mouth, Shinshi suddenly sneered and looked at him with a sarcastic arc at the corner of his mouth. Are you thinking now, what a coincidence, Lin Cixin and Lin Yang both celebrated their birthdays in the same place. I must have arranged all this, right? And Mo, since you have already determined in your heart that I did it, why bother asking me again? Looking at Shinshi's eyes and the cold curve at the corners of her mouth, Mo subconsciously took a step back. To be honest, what Shinshi said was exactly what he was thinking, but he felt embarrassed when she said it so sarcastically. He pursed his lips and said nothing. Mo, what else do you have to say? You can't even find out the truth, and you still want to settle accounts with his daughter? Shin Jiyuan immediately drove him away and didn't even want to see him. Chapter 34, Rich Fiancé. Mo gritted his teeth and glanced at Shinshi. Shinshi, just wait. He will definitely find other evidence to prove that it was all Shinshi's doing. When Mo left, Feng Hui's voice rang in his mind. Host, Mo's aura value has dropped by 7%. Very good. Shin Jiyuan came up to Shinshi and looked her up and down. Baby, are you hurt? Did that bastard bully you? Now Shin Jiyuan was even more grateful that his precious daughter had broken off her engagement with Mo, and that she no longer liked him. Shinshi shook his head. Dad, I'm fine. Shin Jiyuan breathed a sigh of relief, then looked at her seriously again. Baby, if Mo dares to bully you again, tell Daddy, your daddy will take care of everything. Besides, it's not his turn to act wildly on his own turf. Yeah, I see. Shinshi nodded his head in response, and the smile finally returned to his face. Then dad should send more people to protect you recently. Shin Ji-yuan was still a little worried, fearing that Enmo would do something behind his back. Good. As Shuan was expecting, Enmo came in with a resentful face. Shuan was originally expecting something, but when he saw his expression, all his expectations disappeared completely. She stepped forward and asked, "What's going on? Did the conversation with Shinshi go wrong? I told you not to make it difficult for her." Unexpectedly, Enmo pulled her and pressed her to sit on the sofa. After a long while, he spoke, and then, "It wasn't Shinshi who did it. It was all arranged by Jiang Liyuan. It was her, she did it all." Before coming back, he went to see Jiang Liyuan. After a few days, Jiang Liyuan had been tortured beyond recognition. When she saw him, she no longer had the love she once had. She now wished she could pounce on him and bite him to pieces. "Enmo, what are you doing here? You are the one who destroyed me, all because of you and Shuan. I won't let you go. Even if I die or become a ghost, I will not let you go." She stared at Enmo hatefully, her eyes red. Enmo had no sympathy or pity for her experience. He just asked in a cold voice, "Jiang Liyuan, tell me the truth, was it you who did that, or was it Shinshi who was behind it? So what if Shinshi ordered me to do it? So what if I did it myself? Har har har, anyway, Shuan has already slept with another man, and you've been cuckolded, but you're still standing up for Shuan, har har. It seems you won't cry until you see the coffin." And Mo called someone in, intending to give her a new round of torture. Seeing that he had no intention of leaving, Jiang Liyuan went crazy and tried her best to push away the person who tried to get close to her. "Get lost. Roll. Do not touch me." Even though she hated Enmo now, she didn't want to be bullied by those people in front of him. I'll tell you everything. It's me. I arranged everything. It has nothing to do with Shinshi." After hearing this, Shuan took a long time to suppress the anger rising in her heart. She tried hard to pull the corner of her mouth. "That's just right, isn't it? I told you not to go look for Shinshi a long time ago, and I don't want you to embarrass her because of me." And Mo held Shuan's face and looked at her, feeling much better in his heart. "It's great to have you by my side." Li Xiao soon found out about Mo coming to Shin's to bully Shinshi. The man tapped the table with his slender fingers, and a cold arc appeared at the corner of his lips. "It seems that there are too few things to do and I have too much free time." Chapter 35, Rich Fiancé. "Yang Bai, I don't need to tell you what to do, right?" The man raised his eyes and looked at Special Assistant Yang. "Yang Bai, don't worry, President, we will get it done." "Yeah." Li Xiao responded and waved his hand to let him go out. After Yang Bai left, he took out his cell phone and made a call. It took a while before the call was picked up. "Hello." The girl's voice softened Li Xiao's expression. "Are you busy?" "Well, there are a lot of things going on here." Shinshi muttered to him. She now wants to stabilize the Shin family. Even if Enmo wants to do something to the Shin family in the future, she will not let the Shin family suffer serious damage. "I'll go to your place at noon and have a meal together," the man said slowly. "I haven't seen you for a few days. I miss you." Shinshi's ears were burned by the man's last words, and the tips of her ears turned red. "Then I'll wait for you." Actually, she missed him a lot, too. Good. It was said to be noon, but in fact, Li Xiao could not help but go to look for Shinshi right after hanging up the phone. So, not long after, Shinshi saw the man who pushed open the office door and walked in. She was pleasantly surprised and shocked. "Why are you here now?" "Of course I missed my girlfriend so much that I couldn't wait until noon. I wonder if my girlfriend misses me a lot." He came over, hugged Shinshi from behind, leaned close, and kissed her lightly on the cheek. As soon as he approached, the cool aura from him enveloped Shinshi. Shinshi turned the office chair around, facing him, and tilted his head. "Want to know if I miss you?" After the man nodded, she reached out and grabbed his collar, pulled him towards her, and gave him a deep kiss. "Now you know." "Knew." The man spoke in a low, hoarse voice, and then took the initiative to cover it. This time, he took the initiative. Something went wrong at En's company, and Enmo has been very busy at the company in recent days and has no time to accompany Shuan. Xuan was happy to see it happen this time. Since Mo was not around, he secretly went to find Lin Yang. Brother Lin Yang, can you please help me somehow? Shinxi's actions are really too much. Fortunately, it was you at that time. If it was someone else, I would rather die. The girl was sad yet determined, and her tearful eyes made Lin Yang feel itchy and distressed. Okay, I'll help you. Lin Yang raised his hand to wipe away her tears, very gently. I can't stand what Shinxi did. And she always bullied you and targeted you before. When I have her arrested, I will settle these accounts with her. Xuan was so moved that he reminded Lin Yang, there are many people around Shinxi protecting her. Be careful when you catch her. Don't worry, I'll tell them to be careful. When Shinxi and Li Xiao arrived at the dining place, a group of uninvited guests followed and surrounded them. Are you Shinxi? The leader looked at Shinxi and asked. If you are smart, come with us and avoid physical pain. Knowing that Shinxi had someone protecting him, Lin Yang deliberately found more people. And Mo, that idiot again. Shinxi blurted out a sentence subconsciously. After hearing this, the man next to him narrowed his eyes dangerously. When the leader heard this, he laughed. Oh, it seems you have offended quite a few people. You have 3 seconds to come here, or we will start to attack you. As soon as the words fell, the girl smiled and snapped her fingers. Okay, let's do it.